Good evening. How are you all doing? It's Friday night, 7 p.m. I see a lot of people in chat already. Thanks for being here. I hope you guys are doing well. We're getting some greetings from America and many from overseas. As I told you guys, I try to do some shows every now and then around 2 p.m. in the afternoon for our friends overseas so they can join in too, because for many of them, it's like midnight or 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. Sorry, right now. But I got a cool show I'm going to do Monday or Tuesday afternoon. And it's going to be all paranormal and, weird clips. I've always thought I always thought I've seen pretty much everything. I've been on YouTube for so long. This is the stuff I've always been looking into. And boy, was I wrong. There's this show I found on Travel Channel. I think it's just called Paranormal Caught on Camera. And I've already found a couple dozen videos on there that I've never seen before that blew me away. So I went and found them online, like the original uploaders and all that. And I've got a whole compilation of some of the craziest clips you're going to see. And even on the show, they follow up with the people who filmed it. They do a good job of really, really looking into this stuff. And like I said, man, I can't wait to show you this. It'll be a fun afternoon. Just kind of hang out and show you some crazy, weird clips. And we'll just have a kind of a hangout, So we'll do that Monday or Tuesday. Otherwise, thank you for being here. Moderators as well. Thank you as always. I saw Taryn and Tamara in there. So thanks, ladies. And big shout out to my Patreon, PayPal supporters as well. I really appreciate you. I got demonetized a few days back, and it's a pinch. The worst part of that, I was barely making anything anyway, because YouTube's been hiding this channel for 2 years now, basically, and holding it back. But once you're not monetized, they won't recommend the videos, and they probably weren't anyway with my channel. I mean, I really don't know. So, but I'm going to keep moving forward, man. And I saw people in chat asking what I think of Spotify. I think Spotify is an option. I also think Twitch is. That's why, even if you don't have a lot of money, it's okay. Try to follow my Patreon, even for just $1 a month. And that way, if anything happens, or whenever I make big moves, or I'm working on a new project, something outside of YouTube, I always let them know first. Those are my benefactors. Also, like I said, this could be a good place to go and just let you guys know what's going to happen next. If one day I wake up and this channel's gone, I need to find a way to reach you guys and let you know where I'm going next and what I'll be doing. So thank you. Okay. All right. Enough of all that. I got a lot to show you. We got a lot to get into. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of this madness throughout the week. Some of these stories are a little older than the last week, but they all matter. It's stuff I wanted to share with you. All right, let's get started, man. Here's the first one. United Nations claims it's politically incorrect to say husband or wife. I mean, we're not surprised by this. We're not. We shouldn't be. It's just unbelievable. They're also trying to censor your words. It's thought police, word police. Just a reflection of what we're seeing in social media the last few years. It's a spirit. I see all this as the Antichrist spirit as a whole. The United Nations has put out a tweet asserting that people shouldn't use politically incorrect terms like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife in order to, quote, help create a more equal world. Gross. What you say matters. Help create a more equal world by using gender-neutral language if you're unsure about someone's gender or are referring to a group, states the tweet. It then lists a number of terms alongside their politically correct alternative. These include mankind, chairman, congressman, policeman. Okay, whatever. Let's take a look. Oh, there it is. So instead of mankind, humankind, chairman, chair, congressman, legislator, we get it. So gross. This one right here is a bummer because I have been looking over to Twitch a little more here lately and thinking a lot about it. You can go on Twitch and you can do a thing called just chatting, where you can just sit there and talk. And you can show videos and clips and news stories. I mean, same thing I do on this show. I could do it over there. And on Twitch, I wouldn't have to worry so much about censorship and, claims on the videos all the time and just everything else, man. I'm not saying I'm doing it, just saying it's something I've been looking into for the future, because I don't know what's going to happen around here. We'll see. But this is a bummer. And again, it's just that spirit, man. It's not just censorship. It's the Antichrist spirit. It's the way I see it. And this is a bummer. Trans Twitch moderator who identifies as a deer threatens to censor critics. And I got to find some clips with this person and just look at this. Here, I'll read a little bit. Twitch is a live streaming video platform that has become notorious for its draconian levels of censorship, which in many cases outstrip even YouTube. See, that's a bummer, man. That sucks. It sucks. So who knows with Twitch? Spotify might be a good option for podcasting. I don't know. Last week, transgender streamer Steph, aka Ferociously Steph, who was born a man and apparently had his genitals removed, was announced as a new member of Twitch's, this makes me want to barf, Safety Advisory Council, giving Lore the power to influence terms of service and potentially ban individual users. Before we get to Steph's comments on this, let's get to know it a little better. Here, it explains how he likes to prance around in his backyard, acting like a deer while munching on grass.
So in my spare time, I go out to my yard. In my spare time, I go out to my yard and I prance around and I eat grass. And I just watch it because it helps me feel like in tune with my dear self.
And I'm not trying to be mean, but this effing nunce has the power to destroy everything you've built. I always look at it through kind of an artist's perspective, if you will, and my heart goes out to people who've lost YouTube channels and Twitch channels over stupid stuff. Especially people like myself have been in it for years, and this isn't just some dumb social media where you're showing people what you're eating for lunch. This is how some of us reach the world, and we use our gifts and our creativity, and we try to share what we see. And it's nice to see these communities we can build, and it's really a beautiful process. But all of that can be taken away in a heartbeat by an effing nunce, like this. Here we go. More. This is the really scary stuff here.
I'm just not cool with white supremacy, y'all. It's really not. Well, no, I'm just not cool with white supremacy, y'all. It's really not that. I think a lot of you gamers are actually white supremacists. Sorry. Just a fact of how I feel, which isn't a cool. No, I'm just not cool with white supremacy, y'all. It's really not that. I think a lot of you gamers are actually white supremacists.
A lot of you gamers are actually white supremacists. Now, this is a nunce, but this is somebody who's been completely and totally programmed. This is a rainbow child. This is a child of the New World Order, a millennial, but one of the few. Not all millennials are bad. I'm not one of these old Generation X codgers shaking my fingers at the millennials walking in my yard, on their way to school. It's not like that. But there are a lot of millennials that have been fully programmed. I made a video about it a while back called I think I just underneath in the about section, I called it the most programmed generation in history. And they really are. I believe that. Let me see if I can find some more from this one. Let's go here. And here's a member of the Twitch Trust and Safety. Oh, and this is the same person. Okay, check this out. Apparently, the person's having a deergasm, whatever that is. What I was hoping to find, here we go. That. Okay, maybe this is it. I just want to see them talking about their power. I think this might be it.
But I'm hanging in there, and I'm not going anywhere. I have power.
Yeah, this is it.
You can't take it away from me. And honestly, but I'm hanging in there, and I'm not going anywhere. I have power. They can't take it away from me. And honestly, there are some people that should be.
Look at how good it feels to have that power. I was thinking about this the other day. That's one thing is I really learned to start hating YouTube about 2 years ago. I've still created on here through my hatred and disdain for this website for 2 years. For what they do to my channel, they've done to my work. They've taken videos down, screwed with this channel forever. It's just a part of it. And this is such a stark contrast. You see this person here with all this power. Oh, and they love it. Oh, and they can't take it away from me. I'm here forever. All this, but they love it. The reason I've been thinking of other sites like Mixer, Spotify, and even Twitch and all this is because I don't know what it feels like anymore to be on a website where I can actually see my natural growth, where I can actually see that I'm growing and reaching people. And, it used to be that way on YouTube, but about 3 years ago, it changed on my channel and it just kept getting worse. My channel's in a digital ghetto, basically. They buried it. But it used to be the thrill. I used to be so much more excited making videos and shows because it was exciting to see all the people you would reach. Now, I know it's not, probably sound like a view queen, and that's not what it is. But just naturally, when you're creating something you want to share with the world and you see a lot of people seeing it, it feels good. You want that. This is what you strive for, to get more reach. And like I said, it's been so long since I've had that feeling. I don't even know what that's like anymore. So that's why another new site might be a good idea. I'll still balance things. I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I'm still just thinking. Okay, I'm just thinking out loud here. But it sure would be nice to be on a site again where even if I had to start over again, just to see it, natural growth, have nobody screwing with me behind the scenes, no one jacking with the channel, no one removing videos, all this other crap you got to deal with on YouTube. It's been so long, I don't even know what it feels like anymore. What it feels like to feel good about the growth of your channel and that you're reaching people. And I don't even know what that's like anymore, but anyway, more from this nunts.
Afraid of me. And I'm not going anywhere. I have power. They can't take it away from me. And honestly, there are some people that should be afraid of me, and that they are, because I represent moderation and diversity. I'm gonna come for hurtful, harmful people. If you're a really shitty person, I'm gonna stand up against you. Period. And
oh my gosh, just look at that face. The power. Loves it. Loves it. If you're a bad person, I'm coming after you. It's so, there's a card from the Illuminati card game, and it looks like Lady Gaga, and I can't remember what the word is for that particular card. It looks like Lady Gaga being held by two handlers, and then many years later, there was a picture that came out that looked exactly like that. Lady Gaga, almost in the same dress, being held by handlers. And of course, that's the Illuminati card game, which I think is a massive example of lesser magic, at play. But even on that, I can't remember the name of it, but the idea on that card was that all the freaks basically took over. And I don't feel a part of this world. I feel like a freak here, but this is a bit different, okay? And more deranged type people in our society, right? On that card, it was basically saying, I guess they became leaders. They took over the top. You can look up the card. I'm not really sure what it says. I just remember the idea behind it, because I always reflect on that when I see stuff like this, that they take these people that are so programmed by the New World Order, so dumbed down, so programmed by this stuff, and then they give them power over other people, over innocent people. It's not good. It's not good. Nursing home abuser made video asserting black people are supposed to rule the earth. The culprit behind the horrific beating of an elderly man at a nursing home in Detroit made a YouTube video in which he asserted that black people are supposed to rule the earth. Footage emerged yesterday of a man later identified as 20-year-old Jaden Hayden beating up a defenseless elderly white man by repeatedly punching him in the face. I don't think I can play that for you, the way YouTube is. Hayden uploaded the video to his social media accounts, but after the clips started to go viral on Twitter, he was quickly arrested by the police. Content Hayden had previously uploaded to his channel suggested he holds black supremacist beliefs. It's probably monetized. The black race is the chosen race. The black race was supposed to rule the earth, but now they have to go to the white man for everything, and that's not good, he says in one of his videos. Black people are supposed to rule the earth, he emphasizes. Hayden also posted a video called Drugging People Prank that shows a white man convulsing in what appears to be the same nursing home, suggesting that he may have been responsible for the drugging. It's only 7 seconds. Well, there you have it. Okay. Good times at the nursing home. It's a little bit of a doom break. It's only a few minutes long. I thought it was pretty funny when I saw it. Check this out. It explains itself.
Everybody isn't following the same rules right now. They're very clear. So let's take a minute and let's go over them again. First, you must not leave the house for any reason, unless, of course, you have a reason, and then you may leave the house. All stores are closed except those that are open. And all stores must close unless, of course, they need to stay open. This virus is deadly, but don't be afraid of it. It can only kill people who are vulnerable and also those who are not vulnerable. We should stay locked down until the virus stops infecting people. And it will only stop infecting people if enough of us get infected that we build immunity. So it is very important that we get infected and also do not get infected. You should not go to the doctor's office or the hospital unless you have to go there. Unless, of course, you are too sick to go there. This virus has no effect on children except for those children in which it affects. The virus remains active on different surfaces for 2 hours or 4 hours or 6 hours, but in most cases it's days and not hours, and it needs a damp environment or a cold environment that is warm and dry in the air, unless the air is plastic. Schools are closed, so you need to homeschool your children unless you can send them to school because you are not home. If you are at home, you can school your children using various portals and online classrooms unless you have poor internet, more than one child, only one computer, or you are working from home. Baking cakes can be considered math, science, or art. If you are home educating, you can include household chores within their education curriculum. And if you are home educating, you may start drinking at approximately 10 a.m. every day. If you are not home educating children, you may also start drinking at approximately 10 a.m. Masks are useless at protecting you against the virus, but you still need to wear one because it can save lives. And in some cases, it may even be mandatory, but also maybe not. You must not go to work, but you can get another job, at which point you may go to work. Stay home. I don't know how many more celebrities we need to have tell you how important it is to go outside and take care of your mental health. There is no shortage of groceries in the supermarket. There are simply many things missing. You don't need to go buy a bunch of toilet paper, but you should buy some in case you need it. If you are sick, you may go out once you are better, but those in your household, they cannot go out once you are better unless, of course, they need to go out. Animals are not affected by the virus, except for that cat that tested positive in Belgium in February, plus a couple tigers. The number of corona-related deaths will be announced daily, but we don't know how many people are infected because we were only testing those who are almost dead to determine if that's what they will die of. The people who die of corona who are not counted won't or will be counted, but maybe not. To help protect yourself during these times, you should be eating well and exercising, but exercising only eating what you have at home to avoid going to the stores unless you need toilet paper or a fence panel. It's important to get fresh air, but don't go to parks, but do go walk in other places. Just don't sit down unless you are old or pregnant. But if you do sit down, don't sit for too long, unless you are old and you are pregnant, in which case you need to sit down. But if you do sit down, don't eat unless you've had a long walk, which you are allowed to do if you are old or pregnant, except for times in which you aren't. Don't visit old people, but you have a moral obligation to take care of old people and bring them food and medicine. And finally, no businesses will go down due to coronavirus except those businesses that go down due to COVID-19. I hope this cleared up any questions about what we should and should not be doing during this time. Please educate your friends and family with this information so we can remove any and all confusion surrounding this time. Thank you.
That's called what we should all be doing right now. And that was on the Adley Show YouTube channel. Here's a good one, pretty short. Looks like the birds don't want 5G towers either. There's a guy here. Somebody sent me this too. I'm sharing a lot of things this week too that you guys have sent me an email. Birds attack 5G tower from the Crow House. Oh, I know the Crow House. That's Max Egan. Okay. Anyway, somebody sent me this link. This man's name is Max Egan, I-G-A-N, from the Crow House.
Even the birds don't like the 5G. They're pulling it apart. They're actually pulling it apart. So that one over there. Jesus. I don't like it, mate. day. They're not thunderbirds. They know what's happening. Good on them, mate. Yeah. God, they're going for it, aren't they? They're like, fuck the 5G.
He sounds crazy. Max Egan I'm subscribed to him. Max Egan's been around for a long time. And, like myself, I don't think he likes being called a truther. He's kind of got his own thing going. I don't think that he's into Christ, so don't be surprised. I'm pretty sure he's not into Jesus or anything like that. But, he does have some interesting ideas outside of that. I keep open to everything, man. I always have my own personal anchor in what I believe, but it doesn't keep me from looking into other things and appreciating the wisdom I can find in other people in certain subjects, even if they don't agree with me, on spirituality. Here's a good one. It's from Israeli News Live. Parliament member blasts the facts. I'll just play this out a little bit.
Aprile e occorre essere uniti contro le dittature e uniti nella verità. Non facciamo di questa l'aula della menzogna. Non il 26 febbraio, ma il 9 marzo, la scienza qua evocata diceva che il virus era poco più che un'influenza. Quella scienza è quella a cui si è ispirato questo governo. È detto, è stato detto, è documentato, è stato detto, non mentite. Allora, dite la verità, non fate di questa l'aula della menzogna. Almeno qui si applica il principio di Giambattista Vico, verum ipsum factum. E allora avete sentito e avete dato i numeri, li voglio dare anch'io, no datis, no pagani.
No
Non
propaganda.
dite anche qui 25.000 morti.
Don't say
Non è
there
vero.
were
Non
25,000
usate i
deaths.
morti
It's not
per
true.
retorica e per terrorismo. I dati dell'Istituto Superiore della Sanità dicono che il 96,3% sono morti
Died
per
from
altre
other
patologie.
diseases.
Esattamente i dati.
And listen, friends, we're hearing this as well from coroners. The exact same thing. The people are being listed as COVID patients, but they're not.
I numeri, dice questo, è la verità, è la verità.
Colleghi. Collega.
Esattamente così, li ho letti tutti.
These are the kind of guys, I like to see in politics. Unfortunately, you don't see very many of them. Where are the ones in America, right now? There's not many. I mean, Trump fights for himself, but that's about it, as far as the right goes. You don't see many people with passion like this, just calling out the BS and screaming and yelling. You just don't see it. Sometimes it takes that, you know what I mean? It takes that passion, that righteous anger some of these people have. 2 16-year-old McDonald's workers are shot by women who flew into a rage and opened fire after being told the dining area was closed because of the virus restrictions. A violent altercation ensued when 2 female suspects were informed by staff that dining in wasn't allowed. The pair refused to leave the restaurant and a scuffle broke out before one of the women allegedly drew a gun on the 16-year-old employees. The attacker reportedly shot one in the left arm and the other in their right shoulder during the melee that ensued. This is from Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City not representing. The firearm is believed to have been a 9mm pistol from which 3 rounds were fired. Police were scrambled to the Southwest 89th and Penn. Ooh, no way. I know that. I actually have a good friend that lives kind of over in that area. I haven't talked to them in a few weeks, so I should probably make sure they weren't going to McDonald's that night or something. I'm sure I would have heard something by now. But anyway, police were scrambled to the Southwest 89th and Penn Avenue McDonald's at 6:22 p.m. I know that McDonald's on Wednesday evening. The third employee is understood to have suffered a gash to the head when she fell and collided with store furniture. The 2 shot employees were taken to hospital with injuries that are not believed to be life-threatening, and that's the good news. 2 female suspects matching witness descriptions are being held in custody after police detained them a few blocks away from McDonald's. Crazy, man. Chimeras. China's scientists accused of playing God by creating monstrous cloned apes and primates with human organs. Man, I haven't done one of those videos in a while. That's why I've got a UFO video that's almost done. I want to show you some paranormal, crazy, cryptid clips and all that in the next few days. Just stuff I've been having fun looking more into here lately. You know, I really like the weird stuff, of course. And it reminded me, you know, even this story reminds me that for many years, and I did a compilation video on this, but it's probably been like 3 years since I did one about all of these chimeras that were being washed up on beaches all around the world. You know, these hybrid creatures. And there have been multiple in America, but they've also been happening overseas. Lots of other countries have had this anomaly as well. These strange things showing up on their beaches that are creatures we'd never seen before, you know, unlike anything we've ever seen. There's also a huge kind of monster in the Philippines, I remember from a few years ago, pretty crazy looking thing. So there's things out there. I mean, the ocean, they say, is what, only it's 95% unexplored. Have you heard this? 95% unexplored. So what in the heck is down there? I'm a writer, so I have to keep my imagination in check with my research, but at one point I started just wondering and thinking, you know, I wonder, wouldn't that be weird? And I looked it up and I saw there's some theories on this. Some people believe that hell is the ocean floor, that's the real entrance to hell, is at the floor of the ocean. And I've thought that if that was the case, I wonder if that's why we've been seeing so many weird monsters coming out of the ocean, dead ones washing up on beaches and stuff, and all over for the last several years, you know, more and more. Does that mean that perhaps the pit's opening to some degree? Is that a sign of that? I'm not saying that's what it is, but you know, this is kind of my thought process, the way I think about things. Then I research to make sure I'm not being a loon, make sure there's some proof, but it's just something I think about. Some of their work has been dubbed monstrous, while others, cutting-edge research could lead to cures for Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. It's important to note that the US and the UK are not immune from conducting tests on animals. In fact, carry out thousands of experiments on primates every year. However, China has become the capital of research on apes and monkeys, believing that our closest relatives hold the key to understanding brain disorders that destroy lives. Incredibly, the Institute of Neuroscience in Shanghai cloned 5 infant monkeys last year from an adult who had been genetically edited. The result was baby primates intentionally born with a mutation that disrupts their wake-sleep cycle. By giving the monkeys new drugs to treat their pre-existing brain disorders, the scientists hope to develop treatments for illnesses such as Alzheimer's disease. It's no wonder the ION has been dubbed the CERN of primate neurobiology. The institute successfully cloned 2 monkeys in 2018, a world first, giving the experts confidence to push ahead with further experiments. Aw, so cute, the little monkey. Heaping praise on the research, the Chinese Academy of Sciences said the achievement heralds a new era in which China can produce batches of standardized monkey clones, which will serve as animal models in the research of the brain's cognitive functions, early diagnosis and interventions of diseases, as well as research and development of drugs. While China allows genetic manipulation on animals, it has banned the use of gene editing on humans, but that hasn't stopped some of its scientists playing God with unborn children. One of the scientists rocked the scientific world when he revealed he had altered the embryos of twin girls in 2018. In December last year, it was revealed that a third child born to a different mom had also been gene edited. The rogue expert said he used a tool called CRISPR to disable a gene that allows the AIDS virus to enter cells in a bid to make the children immune from the disease. But why have such experiments been dubbed monstrous by others within the scientific community? Experts claim gene editing in people could divide humans into subspecies and can cause mutations, genetic problems, and even cancer. Dr. Kiran Musunuru, an expert in this area from the University of Pennsylvania, called the experiment unconscionable, an experiment on human beings that is not morally or ethically defensible. There you have it. Playing God, right? Having fun. Playing God can get you in trouble. Bill Gates offered House of Reps $10 million bribe for speedy passage of compulsory vaccine bill. Oh, Billy. Billy. Oh, Billy. The Coalition of United Political Parties on Monday alleged that it has intercepted a human intelligence report that the Nigeria House of Representatives leadership was poised to forcefully pass the compulsory vaccine bill without subjecting it to the traditions of legislative proceedings. In a statement issued and signed by the spokesperson of the opposition political parties, Barista Ikenga Imo Ugo Chinyere, it's quite the name, and sent to Daily Post in Abuja on Monday, the body urged lawmakers in the lower chamber to rise against impunity. The body in the statement alleged that a sum of $10 million was offered by the American computer czar, Little Billy Gates, Billy, to influence the speedy passage of the bill without recourse to legislative public hearing, a development they averted as anachronistic, adding that the speaker, Femi Gabajabla, should be impeached if he forces the bill on members. The statement read, Opposition coalition has intercepted very credible intelligence and hereby alerts Nigerians of plans by the leadership of the House of Reps, led by Femi, to forcefully and without adherence to the rules of lawmaking to pass the Control of Infectious Diseases Bill 2020, otherwise known as the Compulsory Vaccination Bill, which is proposing a compulsory vaccination of all Nigerians, even when the vaccines have not been discovered. The intelligence is coupled with the information of the alleged receipt from sources outside the country, but very interested in the bill of the sum of $10 million by the sponsors and promoters of the bill to distribute among lawmakers to ensure a smooth passage. This will manifest in a wishy-washy public hearing, which the promoters still insist on canceling under the pretext of containment of the spread of the virus. The intelligence is that the House will, under whatever guise, pass the bill tomorrow, 5th May 2020, upon resumption. Okay, whatever. There we go, though. Little Bill Gates got his hand caught in the cookie jar. Billy. Contact tracer, disease investigator jobs are springing up around the country. Would you take one of these jobs? Would you be a contact tracer or a disease investigator? You know, I wonder what kind of benefits are involved here and what kind of pay. Could be a good deal. Could be very enticing to become one of these people. Which, whether this is the incarnation or it's the incarnation after, this is some element of being a brown shirt or the Stasi, you know, if you will. Some of you may know what that means. Look up the brown shirts from Nazi Germany. For those who may have lost their jobs during the lockdown, it appears a whole new sector of jobs is opening up across the country. Cities and states are seeking contact tracers and disease investigators. That's a cool name. You got to admit, it sounds cool. What you do for a living? Work at McDonald's. What do you do? I'm a disease investigator. Disease investigators to track down anyone who may have the C19 or anyone who may have come in contact with people diagnosed with it. Ruh-roh. Meanwhile, most people are carriers, right? Am I wrong? I don't know. There are multiple job postings on Indeed.com, an employment-related search engine for job listings. We are all carriers of one part of this crown virus. Now, I don't remember that story, but I remember bits of this. I mean, I show you guys a lot of things. That's why I said that. So, I don't know. That's just one element of the madness with all of this, really. You know, I might be wrong on that one. If not, there's still plenty of other examples we can point to of the madness, right? The chaos around this whole thing and all the lies, you know, the delusion. There are multiple job postings on Indeed.com, an employment-related search engine for job listings. Job titles include contact tracer, contact tracing supervisor, C19 case investigator, and communicable disease investigator. While some people find these positions to be necessary to public health, others find them invasive and meddlesome. One of the most worrisome things about this is what kind of power is held by the tracers and investigators. It kind of back to that, the monster from Twitch that they gave the power to. It's like they're giving power to the powerless, I guess, in a sense or something. And these people are pissed and they're going to come for revenge. on the rest of yous. Well, and me too. You see what I'm saying? One of the most worrisome things about this, the kind of power is held by the tracers and investigators. Hey, I want power. Yeah, I want power too. I can see a lot of people rushing for jobs like this. I want power. You know, so gross, isn't it? So gross. It's like one of the last things I would ever want is something like this that invades other people's lives. You know, the TSA, man. I could never do that. Put my hands on other people like that? No, thank you. No. That's me. Some people like this. I mean, there's a lot of people employed in TSA. I bet they'll have a lot of contact tracers too. I want power. Okay, here's your power. And go get them. Ventura County officials were forced Wednesday to apologize and clarify that those who could not isolate or quarantine themselves would never be forcibly removed from their homes as part of an effort to further contain the spread of the virus. Video circulated on social media showing Dr. Robert Levin, the director of Ventura County Public Health, I showed y'all that video, speaking before the Board of Supervisors Tuesday about a plan to hire up to 50 new contact tracing investigators to find people who have C19 and immediately isolate them, find every one of their contacts, and make sure that they are quarantined and checking with them every day. Good times. Good times for Ventura. Beautiful area. Ventura, California is awesome, by the way. If officials really want to see the violence and unrest ensue, forcibly hauling off an ailing loved one would be one surefire way to make it happen. Agreed. What are contact tracers? Here's a little more about these jobs. New York State will hire and train a team of staff working remotely to support the New York State Department of Health and local health departments to perform C19 contact tracing in communities across New York. The aim of this initiative will be to call every person diagnosed with C19, establish all contacts of this person, and proceed to call and maintain ongoing communication with every contact. In addition, the team will support the isolation and quarantine of individuals. Ruh-roh. They're taking grandma away. That's really crazy, though, if you think about it. In addition, the team will support the isolation and quarantine of individuals as appropriate in coordination with the LHD. This includes virtual needs checks and referral to community resources as needed. This contact tracing initiative is in tandem with statewide efforts to increase testing, improve communication, and knowledge of effective strategies to reduce transmission and implementation of isolation and quarantine. This will fortify efforts to control the pandemic in New York. It says, okay, what's this? I guess this right here is a list of some of the things you'll have to do under quarantine. Work in collaboration with a case investigator. Now, this is what, I guess, your job titles, some of the things you might do. Work in collaboration with a case investigator from the local health department, call contacts of newly diagnosed cases, communicate with contacts in professional and empathetic manner, collect and record information on symptoms and needs, provide contacts with approved information about the approved information about New York isolation and quarantine, follow a set script to inform contacts about the importance of isolation. Oh, goodness. I'm not going to read all of them. We get it. I get it. I want power too. Here's your job. Here's your power. This is pretty cool, man. Big right turn off of that subject. Donnie of Daytona is the name of this YouTube channel. I actually just subscribed to him after I saw this video. He, I guess, is like a junior astronomer. You know, is like a amateur astronomer or whatever. Looks at the sky a lot, records things, and he found something really, really interesting. He calls it. He spelled it wrong. Maybe he did it on purpose for the algorithm. He probably did. The Illuminati prison for the fallen, but. Here, check some of this out, man. Look at this footage.
Videos, you're probably thinking, oh, he's out of focus if it's that big and distorted. Well, let me show you what the star looks like before I mess with it in post-production. Now, this is one of the stars in the Orion constellation at max zoom with a P900 plus a +10 magnification macro lens, and this is as big as it gets. But this is what it looks like in post-production. Slowed down, magnified, and can you just see what I see? It appears to be a prison for spiritual entities. You can see face after face after face. Check this out. So I'm going to take you some of the coolest ones. And like I said, just keep it open.
I don't know about his interpretation. I'll throw that out there, but the footage, it's interesting.
1.5 minute edit of
You could be right. Yeah.
in the speed where you can find your own stuff. These are some of the ones that just jumped out to me. This is the first one. You can obviously see the face. You can see like this is like cheek structure, nose structure, jaw structure, but that eye takes the cake. You can see the roundness of the eye. You can see it even like the pupil right there. Isn't that crazy? Watch this next one. Hold on. Look at that one. That one's obvious. It looks like kind of like a mummy or something. You can see the nose very predominant. Eyes. The mouth is open. I mean, that's pretty creepy. All right, let's check this one out. That one there is kind of like an offshoot of the last one. Look at that one. Scary as all heck, right? See the eyes, nose, big scary mouth with teeth and like a tongue. You can see the innards of teeth.
That's crazy. Look at that.
Look at the teeth, yo. Look how scary the teeth look. Almost like a vampire teeth. You know what I'm saying? These are the evil demons locked in stars. And there's so many of them. In that small snippet of star, this is all the crazy stuff that was in there when you enlarge it and slow it down. Amazing. The wonders of the luminaries, right? Okay, that one's pretty obvious. It looks kind of like a ghost face. This is just one of the many weird symbols that I think look Sanskrit. So are these things not only showing these weird spiritual prison faces, but is it also telling messages? Like, I wonder if you could decipher one snippet, would it tell a story? It's possible. A lot of these, well, that definitely looks like a face, a cross between Sanskrit and a face. That one definitely looks like a face.
Wow,
like
the Joker.
Eyes and like a big heavy brow and a big wide open mouth. Ah, scary as all heck. Look at that. Oh man, that's that vampire one again. That one
teeth.
Towards the end of the 1.5 minute clip, like the last 30 seconds, like halfway through to the end, it gets really scary. So it's like almost like it knew it was watching me. Look at that face, deliberate. It's like a pudgy cheek face. You got the pudgy cheeks.
Yeah.
Right there. Big open mouth. You got the eyes. Crazy, right? Very, very predominant nose. There you go, another face. Very, very strange structured face. It almost looks like a gray alien with the big eyes, the really sunken cheekbones, the funny nose, the really skinny jawline and neck. Look at the detail too. Like the detail is amazing. This isn't just like coincidental. I think there's some legitimacy to the stars or luminaries being prisons for the fallen ones. Look at the intricate detail to the faces too. I mean, gosh, they're like they're like undeniable, right? It's like not maybe it's a face. It's definitely a face. Look at that. Holy detail in that. That's the puffy face. So it's like, obviously you're seeing repeated faces. So when that makes me think is maybe the patterns are always different for each of these stars when I look at them, depending on where they are at night. They are different patterns. They're not out of focus stars. I showed you what it looked like when I first start. Then I digital crop it several times, add fine line, change the brightness and contrast to see more detail as it's enlarged so it doesn't get too out of whack. But
all right, man, I'll go ahead and cut it there. It's almost over anyway. But I want you to, if you're interested, you can watch the rest of that at Donnie of Daytona YouTube channel. Like I said, I just found him this week. I don't know if someone sent me this video or I stumbled on it. I can't remember. I mean, I look at so much stuff every week. But I really liked this. I thought it was very interesting. So there you go. All right. This right here was sent to me by one of my friends out there. And even they were asking, they're not sure exactly what it is, but they were wondering if maybe it's one of the places where they extract adrenochrome perhaps or something like that. They don't know, but it's kind of weird and gross, but it's on Facebook. So I guess it's still up. So I guess that means it's safe. I don't know. I don't need to show you the whole thing, but yeah, we kind of get the idea. It says it's not easy to witness, so I don't even pretend it is. A lot of people would rather block me and ignore the truth, but many of you are doing research and finding your own truth during times where lies are mainstream media's glory. Wake up, stand up while it's still possible. Stuff is shifting fast. Protect the children, protect yourself. Please research HEK293 and use of fetal and dead kidney cells for genetic engineering and flavoring of foods. And they say, oh, on the top, they say baby organ harvesting and trafficking, most likely. So perhaps, you know, perhaps it is. Okay, here's another one. This one doesn't have to do with the with the last subject at all. But this is one of those where you probably know who this is. That's Mark Zuckerberg, the guy that, you know, created Facebook, or at least got the credit for it. So Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, and they're doing this live interview talking about the C-19 and, of course, you know, everything that goes along with vaccines and all that as well. But they start glitching out, man. Him and his wife both start having these anomalies that happen on some people. Okay, is it a sign of, you know, some people think it's a technical glitch. Of course, it's weird that it only happens on their faces, you know, on their bodies. Is it a sign of something else? Some people say reptilian. I'm not into that so much, but maybe it's a sign of the spiritual interference or something. Even his wife gets that right eye anomaly that I showed you guys with Jenna Bush a few weeks ago, or maybe last week we showed that, where she was doing a show and her face started glitching out super bad too. So anyway, let's play some of this and you'll see. You'll see.
Because that might be.
Oh, crap. All right, let me refresh it. There we go. Now let's jump up here to about the 5-minute mark or so. Okay, we're good. Now let's do it.
They're really more important at a population level, because basically what they mean is you test somebody, it would be like saying you're testing somebody for the presence of antibodies, for example. And there is always going to be a little bit of error in some of these tests.
It'll start shortly.
And what we're finding is that there's a lot of error in some tests. Now, we know that Stanford and UCSF's tests are very, very accurate. So very few false positives.
Look at her eyes, man. Watch her eyes.
Let me just give you an example. If you had 100 people who you wanted to test, and you knew that 50% of the people were infected, and you knew that the test you used had a 5% false positive rate, that would mean that if you tested those 100 people, you'd get 55 positives. 50 of them would be real positives, and 5 of them would be false positives. Now, you don't know which ones they are. You just know that's the way the test works. So that's 5 out of 55.
It's a lot of it's her.
People, so about 10% of the people would actually be false positives. So that's not great. But let's just say the number of people in your population actually only has 5% infection. And we think that's where we are.
And he'll start doing a little bit
right
too in a second.
US as a whole. That would mean that
see his eyes right there?
Infected, that
and her eyes did it.
Test positive, and it would be really infected. And another 5 would test positive as they are. You just know that's the way the test works. So that's 5 out of 55 people. So about 10% of the people would actually be false positives. So that's not great. But let's just say the number of people in your population actually only has 5% infection. And we think that's where we are with COVID right now in the US as a whole. That would mean that if you had 5% infected, that 5 people would test positive and it would be really infected. And another 5 would test positive because the test has a 5% false positive rate. And that means that 50% of your test results are false positives. So the false positive rate doesn't change, but the proportion of population changes. And that's why you need a really accurate test, because if you're not using a very accurate test, then you're gonna overrepresent the number of infected people in a population. And that's a problem, because you might
wow, that was a good one.
Number of deaths. So, for example, if you say, well, look, 50% of the people are infected, and yet we only have X number of deaths, that must mean the number of people dying relative to the number infected is very low. And so you want all those things to be as accurate as possible. And that's why our tests are very accurate. And not only that, if we get positives, either by PCR or by the blood test,
It keeps going. You see that one from him?
Samples with each other, so we can run the test again with the other person. Our tests are very accurate, and not only that, if we get positives, either by PCR or by the blood test, we're going to actually.
There's one. I'll try to freeze some.
Trade samples with each other, so we can run the test again with the other person. UCSF and Stanford's test. So
I'm not sure when it happens. It's pretty soon, I think, in the next couple minutes.
Sure that we're not.
But he even looks over at her in a little bit. There you go.
Yes, there's a lot of questions.
So I don't know. A lot of people have been questioning this. I've seen this in some forums, even people talking about it. I don't know. Sometimes maybe it's just a kind of a camera type thing. But then there's some of those that are really hard to explain, especially the ones that I think are more like liquid crystallization, like the black and white formations start forming on these people's faces, and it gets really, really crazy. You've seen some of those. In fact, Jenna Bush happened to her at one point as well. And like I said, she recently did an interview where she's having a lot of these same kind of anomalies just on her, nobody else. But she was by herself. It was like a panel of 4 people at home. It was like the Today Show or something. And she was in one of the windows, but her face was doing a lot of this stuff as well. So I'll just put that out there for you, man. I think it just keeps on going, too. I mean, it's like 35 minutes long. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but if you want to go watch it and just check out some of the weird anomalies that keep popping up around them, you can check this thing out. Dr. Anthony Fauci's 15 totally wrong predictions and contradictions. It's so gross how many people have put him on some kind of godlike pedestal, isn't it? But I think that more and more people are starting to see the truth. Fauci, number one, Fauci says he warned Trump in January that the U.S. was in real trouble, but that's not what he said publicly. In January, Fauci told Newsmax that the U.S. did not have to worry about the virus and that it was not a major threat. I'll read a few of these. Dr. Fauci warned of an apocalyptic virus pandemic. Then just weeks later, he compared the virus to a bad flu. Number 3, Dr. Fauci based all of his predictions on models that were off by millions, and then later told reporters, you can't really rely on models. I'm Dr. Fauci. On March 20th, Dr. Fauci jumped in and during a press briefing on hydroxychloroquine treatment for the virus, corrected the president, saying, you got to be careful when you say fairly effective. It was never done in a clinical trial. It was even given to individuals and felt that maybe it worked. Exactly 2 weeks later, hydroxychloroquine was deemed the most highly rated treatment for the novel virus in an international poll of more than 6,000 doctors. Just a few. There's 15. I don't want to read them all, but you can look it up. Dr. Anthony Fauci, 15 totally wrong predictions and contradictions. It's from May 12th, right there, 2020. Oh boy, Oklahoma again. What are we doing in Oklahoma? What's going on here? What's happening? A 75-foot tall Elon Musk statue now towers over Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's not the statue right there. On Wednesday, the Tesla Owners Club of Oklahoma and Tulsa Mayor G.T. Bynum unveiled a 75-foot tall statue painted to resemble Tesla CEO Elon Musk. They modified Tulsa's landmark, the Golden Driller statue, that is a landmark, which was erected in 1966 and adopted as the state monument in 1979. Golden Elon is the city's latest ploy to woo the electric car manufacturer into building its new gigafactory there. Tulsa is a city that doesn't stifle entrepreneurs. We revere them. And this is, I'm sure, an answer to Elon Musk was saying he's going to leave California because he put his people he wants his people to work. I think he let them go to work, right? Then he got some trouble or whatever. So I think he's just done with California. There's an exodus from California and New York, if you didn't know that. We've seen some of these stories too. But people are finally waking up to it, man. I lived in LA. I lived in California. Yes, it's beautiful weather. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things to do there. But, as time goes on, for people who lived there for many years, it's the bullshit of what's going on and the censorship and the totalitarian government, essentially, they have there. And, the crazy taxes and draconian laws. I mean, it's nuts. I left that state. I didn't pay my parking tickets. I probably had hundreds of dollars in parking tickets when I left that place. Probably I don't know. I probably have to be careful when I'm back. I just went back to California a few months ago and saw some friends there, but I didn't really think too much about that. But I'm probably on the books there for, owing them a lot of money on parking tickets. But the parking tickets were insane. I mean, you should see the signs in Los Angeles, especially. Well, really, it's all over California is, pretty bad there on the coast. But then there's a lot of areas that are, there's farming communities in California. We don't think about that sometimes when you think of California. It's a great state, man. It's just, these little tyrants have destroyed it. They've destroyed it. But it is beautiful. It is cool. There's a lot of fun stuff to do. But how much are you going to tolerate, of the madness, especially now? Now that we're really starting to see these people show their colors during the virus pandemic. Earlier this week, numerous outlets reported Tulsa and Austin, Texas were finalists in Tesla's hunt for a second U.S. assembly plant location. The factory purportedly comes with a promise of 10,000 new jobs. There you go. That's the new statue. 75 feet tall, they say. Here it is.
The spirit here and the presence, the mayor is pulling up soon. I thought I saw him come in, but maybe I'll give.
Well, the whole thing is just him at the legs. I'd kind of like to see a full body shot. I guess not. All right, there you go. All about Tesla. Okay, what is going on here? I guess I should probably refresh this. It's the LA Times. Dinkers. Of course, it's going to be the LA Times doing this. I'll just read the headline, basically. That's all I was going to do anyway. The headline is, let's see if you can see it real quick. In a pandemic, no one wants to touch it. Hold on. Why cash has become the new typhoid Mary. There you go. No, LA Times, I'm not going to pay for your propaganda. Because that is propaganda. And I showed you guys a few days ago, I did a live show. We're talking about that's one of the new things we're seeing crop up in the aftermath of the event is this idea of going digital, and cash is bad and cash is diseased. And that was basically what LA Times was going to tell you. This is classic video. Costco employee, I think he's a manager actually, tells off customer refusing to wear a mask. This guy. This Karen. Okay, let's see if I can find the actual video. All right, guys, where's the video? I'm not seeing it. Okay. I'll find it. Hold on. Okay. Show us the video, jerks. All right. Costco employee tells off customer refusing to wear a mask. Come on, man. Is nobody showing this video? Let's go to videos. No, that's not going to be it either. Mediaite. Okay, they're really big time crapheads about claiming everything. All right, let's go back. All I want to see is the video. Okay, maybe this is it. You got to be kidding me. Come on, man. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Finally. All right, let's watch this. If it starts.
I was going to show my 3,000 followers. I was going to show my 3,000 follower Instagram feed. Mostly local.
Hi, everyone. I work for Costco, and I'm asking this member to put on a mask because that is our company policy. So either wear the mask.
And I'm not doing it because I woke up in a free country.
Have a great day.
So you're going to take this car from me.
Sir, have a great
Full
day.
of stuff.
You are no longer welcome here in our warehouse. You need to leave. Thank you very
Here,
much.
you put it on. I'll give you my card. He's going to take the card away because he's a...
There he is, walking away with all my stuff. There he goes.
But even that is, I mean, to me, a sign of something potentially more sinister, of course. And I covered it again in a recent show, but it's that whole idea of the masks first, the no masks, you know, another way to divide people. Wikipedia founder says the project has abandoned neutrality policy and is badly biased. Larry Sanger, the founder of Wikipedia, says the project has abandoned neutrality and is now badly biased. He's no longer involved with Wikipedia, and his co-founder, Jimmy Wales, is a far-left activist. In a blog post on Thursday, Singer wrote a scathing critique of the bias of his former website. Wikipedia's NPOV is dead, Singer began, referring to the site's neutral point of view. He specifically pointed out the entries for former President Barack Obama and President Donald Trump as examples. The founder points out that the entry for President Trump, on the other hand, he specifically pointed to the entries... The founder points out that the entry for President Trump, on the other hand, is unrelentingly negative. Meanwhile, as you can imagine, the idea that the Donald Trump article is neutral is a joke. Just for an example, there are 5,224 none too flattering words in the presidency section. By contrast, the following public profile, which the Obama article entirely lacks, investigations and impeachment sections, are unrelentingly negative and together add up to some 4,545 words. I don't want to get into all that stuff, but you get the basic idea. I mean, the Wikipedia founder, just another example. We know this, man. I mean, we see it's not even creeping communism. It really is the rise of the Antichrist spirit, which is communism and all that other stuff involved. It's a full-on hatred for humanity and a total control. That's what it is. That's what it wants. And it comes through in all these different ways. It's just one of them. More censorship. Here's one. I just want to show you the picture. I showed you all this on my last live show about Melinda Gates went on the Today Show wearing a frickin' upside down cross. And I wonder when I see stuff like this, is this more of an example of them revealing themselves as we're getting closer and closer to the ultimate hidden truth, which is what many of us already know, but that these people are, it's not Democrats and liberals and communists and these people are Luciferian. You know, they worship the devil, and they drink blood, and they kill people, and they're evil, and that's real. That's the big hidden, the last truth to be revealed, because everything's being exposed. But I think that'll be the last truth. But we're seeing it more and more. You saw Microsoft come out recently with their ad for virtual reality featuring a witch, Marina Abramovic. Or it's Abramovich. I'm not sure how you say it. Maybe it's Abramovich. Somebody corrected me on that. Maybe it's Abramovich. Anyway, I just wanted to show you another picture of it. I wish I could make that bigger, but that's her right there. And they have her. I mean, look at that. And there's other. You can go online and find closer pictures and see that it's clearly an upside down cross. And look how they have her looking like this little church lady wearing pink. Hi, I'm innocent and safe. I would never hurt you. Little demons. This is really weird. I don't even know where to classify this, but you know I like the weird and random sometimes. There's a new movie coming out called Greatland, The Future After C-19. And this apparently is a trailer for the movie. I'm not even sure what to make of it. It's total insanity, but I'm not going to play it all. I'll just play a little bit of this. But this is it. It's called Greatland.
Immortality. Now, I don't want to die, but my days are numbered. Soon, very soon, the virus will begin its work inside my body. My hair will fall out, my skin will wrinkle, and I will collapse.
That's all. Again, like this, it feels, when I've watched it, it feels, like some creepy, or what it reminds me of is the videos I would see of those bands that performed at Comet Ping Pong. Have you seen those videos? There's bands that performed there that had a lot of the child pedo type logos and whatnot. But they would make music videos and they looked a lot like this. And even in this video, you could hear at one point was it like the goat in the background? And there's definitely, I won't say definitely, but it feels occult and satanic. There's some strange symbols throughout. Now I don't know, for sure, but it just doesn't. Something feels way off, right? So this may be some. I don't know. Everything weird's not suddenly it's evil, it's demonic. It's not like that either. But we know that those forces are at play. I don't know. The whole thing's very strange. So there you have it. Let's see.
The wave of stimulus spending in the US could push its public debt to levels last seen in World War II.
Thank you, my beloved fellow braves. I will make sure that these tokens of love go directly to altruists to fund their antivirus research.
Oh, yeah, right. Even that. I mean, most likely even if they're not performers that are satanic, I mean, it's a spirit working through them, I feel. You see this kind of thing and it just feels, it's freaking bizarro, man, right? It's crazy, but not crazy in a cool, weird way. There is crazy in a weird, cool way. I like some Tim and Eric Awesome Show. That's old school, but I like some of their comedy. It's very strange, but it never felt evil and demonic or degenerate. It was strange. If you never heard of Tim and Eric, a lot of you may not like this. Some of you are going to get it. But if you like strange, obscure comedy and stuff like this, and it's not offensive, there's no bad language, there's no sex, nudity, nothing like that. But it is very strange and weird. Look up Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Great job. That's the kind of comedy I like. Okay. Strange things make me laugh like that. Tim and Eric is very weird. They also had a series called Bedtime Stories, which was really, really interesting and strange and funny. United Nations agrees to give pro-life country badly needed. Oh, and even right there, see, I'll say this kind of off the subject. Here I go rambling again. Somebody left a message into my last live show complaining that I talked about going to Target, really freaking out about this. You're pushing the New World Order agenda by telling people to go to Target. I'm like, calm down, Karen, for real. I didn't tell you what to do. I'm honest with y'all about what I do. Sometimes I just give little anecdotes about my day or whatever I do. I'm not trying to hide anything, but people like this Karen makes me want to censor myself. And normally I would tell you to set the pipe down, but in this case, Karen, I'm telling you, pick the pipe up, take a couple puffs, relax. Okay. Take it easy. I'm just being honest about, things I do and things I see, whatever it is, so relax, calm down. All right. Calm down, Karen. UN agrees to give pro-life country badly needed COVID relief money only if they legalize, bad operation. Ecuador is a pro-life country. It's right there in their constitution. There's no ambiguity in Article 45. Abortion is illegal in Ecuador. Like all earthly nations, Ecuador has been devastated by the C-19. Okay, whatever. Thus, Ecuador's leaders sent a financial relief request to the United Nations asking for $46 million in relief funding to help Ecuador's citizens survive the pandemic. That is supposed to be the UN's purpose. However, today's UN has an entirely different agenda. The United Nations replied that it would be happy to assist the Ecuadorian people in this terrible time of need, on one condition that Ecuador legalizes the butchering of the most innocent among them, their unborn children. It appears that Joseph Mengele is running the UN today, evil to the core. The UN is using the crown virus aid to pressure Ecuador to legalize the killing of unborn babies in bad operations, pro-life leaders in the country said this month. The Catholic News Agency reports the country's Ministry of Foreign Relations and Human Mobility recently asked for $46.4 million in aid from UN. Within that funding package, however, is a goal to quote, maintain continuity of maternal, neonatal, and children's health and other sexual and reproductive health services during the pandemic, unquote, including abortions, according to the report. All right, we get it. It's so gross, these people. They've got to have their sacrifices. It's the way I see it. They got to have their sacrifices. When TV series The Dead Zone predicted the spread of a virus from China in 2003. Let me see if I can find this. There's a clip here. Here it is.
All right, what's going on? Just let me think about where to start.
Well, he saw something. What is it?
I saw a virus. I think some kind of disease.
Virus? Like what? Like SARS?
I don't know. All I know is that it's highly infectious. It may be fatal. Right now, we could all be infected. If we take this outside, we risk the whole town.
Johnny, how big is this gonna get?
I don't know. We just have to do everything we can to stop this, starting right now.
He's right. All right, here's what's going to happen. We need to make sure that everybody that's inside stays inside. I'm going to get a few deputies on it. We'll call it a lockdown.
Lockdown?
Well, until I come up with something better.
Halt, no. No, you cannot lock the school doors.
This is for your family's safety.
Will I get sick too?
Featuring Anthony Michael Hall from 16 Candles.
Wear masks. What difference does it make? According to you, we've already been exposed. Let's get one thing straight, Mr. Smith. I'm responding to political pressure. You have no reason to be scared. Let me ask you something, Amy. Animals. You've been around any animals in the backyard, even let's say a skunk, a raccoon? I'm going to swab the inside of your mouth with this little Q-tip, trying to get a handle on this animal. Damn efficient airborne transmission. Blood tests and swabs aren't telling us much. We know it acts like a virus. It causes high fever and respiratory distress. Tracking and treating a mysterious outbreak like this would take the CDC months.
We better get started then. For anyone who hasn't been exposed already needs to wear a mask.
China. Isn't that where flu viruses come from?
Yeah, a lot of viruses come from there.
International flight to China?
That's no coincidence. Whatever it is, it originated in China.
Just another example. We're seeing more and more of this. You know, you've seen plenty of examples of where this was, in a way, shown to us before it ever happened, right? A lot of different examples. CNN reporter Caitlin Collins caught removing face mask when she thought camera was off.
And I like your pink blazer, Caitlin. Thank you. And I like your pink blazer, Caitlin. Thank you.
Actions at the White House. Have there been any more positive today?
People are making a big deal out of that because apparently this is one of those reporters that's constantly giving Trump a hard time about not wearing his mask around, you know, when he's on camera and whatnot. So anyway, there you go. It's all BS. We know that. This right here, man, another reason why, you know, we hate YouTube a lot of the time. And again, I can say that, but, you know, I'm still grateful the fact I've built an audience here, that I'm still here. The channel's still alive. I've got all the work I've done on here. I am grateful for that, but come on, man. Really, we know what it's become. It's just, I keep holding out hope. Maybe I'm naive that some rich, super rich person will buy extra stock in YouTube or something and make changes, you know, like fire little Susan and that whole group. Who knows? Oh, you're being naive, KJ, idiot. Well, you know, I like to, you got to have some hope. You know, it'd be nice to see these things. Like, I don't believe so much they're going to lock up Obama and Hillary and all these people. But you know what? It'd be great to see. And if it does happen, I don't know everything. If it happened tomorrow, I'd say, hey, man, I didn't see that coming, but it's really nice to see. You know, I'll take it as it comes. Registered nurse Danica Bueno gives basic science lesson on why constant mask usage hurts us. When I saved this a few days ago, this is from May 17th, the video is still up there. So again, just another example of how quick YouTube is to just Slice and dice, baby. Baby, cut that out. You put up a video of you eating dinner, what you're cooking, or like, a cat trapped in a bag, or one of your kids farting in your dad's face when he's sleeping on the couch. You're fine. We know this. We get it. I don't have to tell you. There are many reasons to wear face masks. They prevent doctors and nurses in operating rooms from infecting their patients. They help to slow the spread of disease from those who are infected when used short term. They can help us to not inhale the droplets of potentially disease-ridden air around us, but that's where the benefits end. Unfortunately, prolonged and regular use of face masks can actually cause a great deal more harm than the disease they're supposedly trying to thwart, especially when the disease is C19, which is proven to be much less dangerous to everyone other than the elderly or infirm. There's got to be a video here. Let me see. Dang, man. I want to find the video of this lady talking. Let me see if I can do it like this. Maybe we'll find a clip because it's great to watch. Freaking YouTube. All right, let's see videos. Well, didn't mean to show you that. Okay, that's not what we want to see. Let's see here. All right, there's something.
Hello, my name is Bueno. I'm an RN.
Oh, crap. Okay, I was trying to make it big, but I guess I can't. And the audio's really low, so let me try if I can find another one here. Let's see. Let me try Reddit. No, not on Reddit. Tried videos. That didn't work. Still looking. Well, crap. All right. Let's no Q report. That link's dead. We'll see if we'll play some of this and see if we can hear some.
Bueno, I'm an RN with my ESN. I work on a cardiac unit, and I want to share information with you. So, when you come into the hospital and you have respiratory alkalosis, which can be caused by anxiety or from hyperventilating, the treatment is this. Breathing in your own CO2. Now, why is that important? Because when CO2 gets into your bloodstream, it converts into acid. And so if you have respiratory alkalosis from breathing off too much CO2, this can be life-threatening. And so breathing in your own CO2 can be the remedy for that. It can reestablish pH balance of your bloodstream and is critical to saving these patients. Now, I wanted to share with you what this means. When you go out in public and you wear this at all hours of the day that you're outside, you are doing your body a disservice. You are creating an acidotic state of your blood. You are creating a pH imbalance. It is crucial to health to have a balance of pH in your bloodstream at all times. Why would you want to disrupt that? You're not only breathing in your own bacteria, flora, the whole time because you're not getting fresh air, you're hurting your body by breathing in your own CO2 for long lengths of time. I also want to share with you that this mask is highly, highly ineffective against viruses. Viruses are teeny tiny. And you may tell me, well, in my hospital, we wear an N95 mask. An N95 mask has to be fitted, first of all, and is supposed to protect you against TB. What is TB? It is a bacteria. There's a big difference between a bacteria and a virus, mainly in size. A bacteria is about 1,000 times bigger than a virus. So if you're telling me that I'm protecting myself when I go to the grocery store by wearing this, you're wrong.
That's why this was banned. You know, this link someone put up, it's from BitChute. So I've got a lot of my videos there. I need to put more up over there and just start really loading it up on BitChute. But it's looking more and more. And I've seen people say, no, BitChute's bad. It's connected with, I mean, I don't know, man. Where else are you going to go? You know, what are you going to do? You're just going to, a lot of people quit. I see a lot of people quit. Like, there's nowhere else to go. They convince themselves it's finished. It's done. YouTube sucks and everything's finished. And they're done. I've seen so many people leave and just quit over the years. And that sucks. So you got to have hope. You know, you've got to keep trying at least. Maybe BitChute has some weird connection to some, I don't know, man. But, you know, I got to try. You know, I'm on Minds. That's another one, minds.com. I'm over there. You know, I just had 2 Vimeo channels removed about a month and a half ago. Man, that stung. So, you know, I've still had one left, but I just, you know, it's tough, man. Like I said, it's tough, man. Let me tell you. But it really can be, though. Excuse me. Behind the scenes, just trying to, you know, juggle all this and try to keep your work online with all the freaking censorship now. Anyway, Danica Bueno, if you want to look her up and find that full video, you can check that out. Sorry, the audio, and I couldn't make that any bigger. Another one with YouTube. YouTube removes John Piper's audiobook, Crown Virus and Christ. It says update, YouTube has restored the video. Okay, that's good. Posted to the Desiring God account containing the audiobook, so it's a different site. But originally, the audiobook version of theologian John Piper's latest book, Crown Virus and Christ, has been removed from YouTube for violating community guidelines. Piper's book, intended to help Christians navigate the theology of crisis like the one we're currently facing, was released for free April 8th and offers readers 6 biblical answers to the question, what is God doing through the crown virus? Reminding us that God is at work in this moment in history, according to the book's description. Those who navigate the YouTube link for the audiobook are now met with a black screen carrying the following notification. So, freaking YouTube, man, just another example of their shenanigans. This stuff is just, it's out of control, man. It is out of control with them. All right, let's take a shift and jump over to some UFO videos for a little bit. Talking about YouTube just bums me out sometimes. There's a few different ones I wanted to share on this one. This is from Suspect Sky. Check out Suspect Sky. He'll do these really big compilations sometimes of a lot of UFO footage. I'm not going to show them all, but there's a handful here I wanted to share with you. Some good ones.
Damn, we're trying to better camera. What's wrong with that? Oh shit, what the fuck is that? Yo, what the fuck is that, man? Why it look like that? Don't look like that. Yo, what the fuck is that shit? Nah, the plane exploded right in smoke. Yo, what the fuck is that? Nah, run the plane blew up.
There's little dancing demons in the sky.
Fucking alien spaceship.
That was 2 UFOs now.
That's crazy. Yo, the fuck is that shit, yo? Damn, we're trying to better camera. Where it go? Where it go? Where the fuck go? Where it go? What is it? Somebody answer me, damn it! What the fuck is this? Nah.
What is
What if, I always picture in my mind, what if you saw that globally one day, like everywhere, every country, those things just popped up in the sky like that. Like that would be an introduction, wouldn't it?
Oh, remember the other night when we heard the weird shit? Why is it just sitting there? I don't know.
I like Suspect Sky, but I don't like all the music in the background. So the next few will show you there's no more music, but this is a really cool one. Look at this.
Wow. Oh my God.
Wow. Wow. Right. I have my beliefs on these things. I think a lot of these, not every UFO, I've talked about that. There's different types, but I think a lot of these are the interdimensional shape-shifting demonic entities, or the disembodied spirits of the fallen angels, if you will. And they're shapeshifters. And they even show up here on the ground, here on the earth in different forms, I believe. Crazy sighting, man. What a capture.
Just sitting in my car outside, and I'm seeing this.
Reminds me of the movie Phantasm. Have you ever seen Phantasm? They have these balls that look exactly like that, these orbs, and they'll fly after people, and then they'll have these spikes that'll. That's exactly how it sounds. No, they have these spikes that shoot out of them. They don't like fly out of them; they'll come out of the side, and then it'll like bury itself in someone's head, and then it starts drilling, and all this blood starts shooting out of the back of the silver orb. It's Phantasm, not a family film. Check it out sometime. They're pretty bad. They're very low budget, but the first Phantasm is a classic. They got kind of cheesy after a while. They've made like 5 of them now. The first one, man, that was a classic, I thought. I saw it as a little kid, scared the crap out of me. Terrified of silver orbs with spikes that can shoot out of them now. Terrified.
Rods or something coming out of them.
You hear that? He's about to say something. At one point, he said they had 3 things sticking out of them, and I rewinded it a bit to catch it. Maybe I went too far, but I think he says it here in a second.
Appears to have 3 rods or something coming out of them.
That's crazy, man. I didn't catch that the first time I saw this, but I was just telling you about Phantasm and this thing. He says it has 3 rods coming out of it. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it's just pretty crazy. All right, let's go ahead to a couple more here. And I got more to show you after this, just individual sightings. No, not that one. Here we go. That's a cool one. Check this thing out.
So this thing is in the sky. What in the hell is that? That's not a balloon. What? What a loser. Moving very slow, barely changed position. When I came out, it was right over the tree, and it's just moved here, very slow. What the hell is that?
Weird, huh? Check it out. The shapes these things make, it's incredible sometimes, stuff.
Man, them ain't no damn plane.
Right, the music's back. I think that's pretty much it. There's one I showed y'all a few weeks ago that he put up here now. I'm sure he just found it same place as I did, but it's a really good one. This is out of, wait, here we go. My bad. I think he has a flying humanoid in here too. Yeah, I think this one's a flying humanoid coming up. Check this thing out. Here we go. When I see things like this, I always feel like, man, I wish the perfect situation would be that I had it. First off, I'd have to own a drone, which I don't have one, but it'd be cool if I had a drone and I saw something like that. I would immediately send it, immediately send that drone after whatever it is that was up there, just to see how far it can go, what I could see. Really cool. And this is out of Russia. I showed y'all this a few weeks ago. Probably longer than a few weeks. That's on March 4th. Look at this, though. These entities.
Так, чтобы вы понимали, вот я сижу в машине, вот она эта штука. Как будто птицы, это как будто светящееся что-то, много всяких каких-то элементов. Вот они объединились в кучу.
It's incredible. That's a good one. That's one of the better ones I've seen in quite a while. I got quite a few more here. Let's go through some UFOs. We'll go back into some news stories. I was just going to show you this, just a shout out to Mavi777 channel. He says, what do these stupid people think I'm doing? Clickbait? I'm not throwing a video anymore. I'm leaving this job. I can no longer deal with these people. Couple reasons why I want to show you this. First off, I really like Mavi's channel. I also like, Hidden Underbelly 2.0 and Finding UFO, and there's a handful, not a lot. There's a handful of UFO channels I really like that find this footage, and Mavi's one of them. And I think he probably got demonetized for clickbait. That's another reason they've been demonetizing some people, is saying it's all clickbait stuff, which is unfortunate because he doesn't talk in his videos. All he does is show screen captures of the videos he's showing. Again, an innocent guy, but that's another anomaly I've seen in the last probably year and a half. YouTube really coming after UFO channels too and demonetizing a lot of them, trying to shut them down. And that's so unfortunate, man, because Mavi's right up there. He's really one of the better ones I've seen in a long time. And the other reason I wanted to show you is, like I told you, man, it's not easy to stay on YouTube all these years for anybody that gets harassed by them. It's not easy being on a site that doesn't like you, and that you've got to navigate around it and try to work around it. And You know what I mean? You can't just be free and totally enjoy the fruits of your labor. You know, see all the new subs coming in, your videos reaching people. You don't get to enjoy that anymore. That's been taken away. So you better really freaking care about what you're doing. And that's what it comes down to. You better really care about this stuff, man. And I've had to go get jobs 3 times throughout this, 3 different times being demonetized on. I'm fully demonetized now, but in the past they would just wipe out your income and do an adpocalypse, you know, wipe you down to a couple $100 a month when you're used to making rent and everything else, you know, for years. They did that all the time, you know, several times throughout the years. And you've just got to start all over. So I've had to leave and get part-time jobs to keep going and everything else just to keep doing this. So again, that's why I hope y'all understand. I really love you guys, man. You Patreon and PayPal supporters. Thank you so much. You guys keep me in it, and I really appreciate you, man. And that's really where it's been going the last few years anyway, is viewer-funded, you know, viewer-funded creators, I guess, if you want to. But anyway, I was bummed out to see this with Mavi. I hope he doesn't quit. I left him a comment there. Mavi, I love your channel. Also, I feel for you. My channel was demonetized last week after being here 10 years. They don't care about us, but don't let them stop you. So there you go. Hopefully he sees that. UFO video. Bolivia from Los Magios YouTube channel. Interesting capture. Short but sweet. There's a few of those. Here's another one, a minute long. This is UFO number 4 from Sihan Gok. Cool name. Sihan Gok. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. Look at this. The shapes they can form.
Adrian? Hayatım gel. Gel gel. Gel. Hayatım gel de. Gel bak 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 bak.
Weird, huh? It's a weird one. Real short. It's only 11 seconds, but this was interesting. I'll play it a few times. Check this out. I've talked about this throughout the years, about oftentimes the orbs will show up in threes. And it all goes back to threes in all of this. Man, I just saw something. Oh, yeah. There's a video you can look up from a BET producer. I can't remember his name. A young man. He was a producer for the network Black Entertainment Television. He did like a 30-minute talk, and you can find it. Maybe you can still find it on YouTube. Hopefully you can. But he really exposes the industry. He talks a lot about sorcery and witchcraft. And he even says, he goes, I'm not joking when I say use those words, not sorcery and witchcraft. This is what they do. And then at one point he admits that they do everything in threes. Now that's another concept I've shown in a lot of my videos through the years that goes back to witchcraft. It's in books on witchcraft, things like this, but it's threes. And that also connects with a lot of the popular music you hear, specifically from what we call Illuminati artists. But a lot of their songs will have, you know, chorus in threes or different verses in threes, you know, or the cha 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 cha, you know, but that's part of an incantation. Anyway, it gets deep. So, but a lot of times these orbs show up in threes, and I believe it's almost like a mockery of the Holy Trinity, if you will. That's just my perception, you know. So let me check this out as an example of it. And they're always in a pyramid.
Puta, y sí, ahí no se va a desmayar. ¿Qué puta será?
Just like that. See it a lot. A lot. These things. These frickin' things. All right, this is from Tracy Angel of Love, a UFO or family of truth. Oh, I shared this because it's another one of those things I was telling you. These sightings are showing up all over the world as well. But these are the types that to me would be really easy to say no, because it looks like something that would be happening on the ground and shining up above, right? Doesn't it? Like a ride or a carnival or a circus or, you know, some kind of promotion or something. It would make sense. But it's been showing up. The last one I saw was in, I think it's Singapore had this. But it's been shown all over the world, the same anomaly where they show up like this and they spin around and do circles. And underneath this video, I think she explains, let's take a look here because she says something. She says, I don't know what we saw that night, but we watched it for an hour. After it was over, I asked for a personal message. I got one. Then he came through online. I'm your husband through a friend. I've been married 27 years and we are both on a massive cleansing journey to realization. Not all is as it seems. That night, my son had a really sore throat. I was working on healing it. My daughter, who is 25, started seeing blue lights. Then I took us to a higher by. Okay, it's no offense to this lady, but she sounds like she's probably more on kind of like that new age tip, or that, you know, these aliens are our friends and we can communicate with them. And there are examples where you can communicate with these. I still feel they're demonic in nature. I don't feel these are heavenly angels or anything. That's just me. That's what I've been seeing for many years. I've talked about in a lot of videos. So she might be more on that tip, it seems. Let me see what she says here. She says, been wondering if anyone else has... Okay, here's the thing. It says, hiya, Tracy. I saw exactly the same thing a couple of nights ago over at my house. What the heck? I tried to film it, but it didn't come out properly. I'm from the Gold Coast. It was really strange for sure. And Tracy says, been wondering if anyone else here has been seeing what I'm seeing. I know one thing for certain, smoke and they disappear. My daughter smoked and gone. Then about an hour later came back, gave me another light show more personal than this one. Not ready to share it. Something big going down. A lot of nasty getting uncovered. Healed and moved where they belong. All right, there's that. I'll show a compilation of those. Like I said, I mean, there's a lot of those exact type of sightings. So all over. So who knows? This is an alleged, this recently happened, UFO crash in Brazil. They're asking hoax or genuine. This is from Skywatch International YouTube channel.
Hope you're having a good weekend. I just wanted to quickly go over this video of the supposed crash of a UFO in Brazil. I did post about it last night, but there's a lot that doesn't seem right about it. So I thought I'd take the post back down and look into it a bit. And since come across this clearer footage is what is supposed to be the downed UFO.
It kind of looks like that silver orb we saw floating in the sky, right?
To many people. So I'm calling this one a hoax. I might be wrong. The objects seen in the sky are genuine. There was sightings that particular night. But with all the mixed stories and everything what's been said since about this object crashing and being covered up by the military, it just doesn't add up to me. Again, I might be wrong. Put your comments down on this if you wish. So please subscribe.
I was just trying to show the original footage. I think this is coming up here. This might be it. This is allegedly after it crashed, and people are saying that they're gunshots and stuff, but you can see the smoke settling after it crashed. Oh, it's a good capture. I don't know. Did it happen? Did it not? I'm not. It's hard to say with some of these, but that's all I've seen of it. So I'll be keeping my eyes open, see if something comes up over the next few weeks on that.
Now, he drove a tank down city streets.
I'm not going to play the whole thing here, but this is pretty interesting. Check this out. It has to do with 5G and a guy that tried to destroy some towers.
The telco insider whose mobile phone tower protest went out of control is back. Now, he drove a tank down city streets, destroying transmitters to highlight what he saw as dangerous tower emissions. Now, of course, he was sent to jail for that, but the former technician hasn't changed his mind about the health effects of mobile phone towers, and he's preparing another protest. But as Laura Sparks reports, this one won't involve a tank.
The message was that how dangerous it was. I wasn't thinking clearly. I made some rash decisions, which I really regret.
But it was out of sheer frustration, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
His desperation drove him to extreme measures. John Patterson did the unthinkable. He went on a destructive spree in a tank, and now he's paid dearly for his actions.
I was proved guilty, and I was jailed for my offences.
How dangerous is this office?
It's catastrophic. You wouldn't work here.
We first met John, a former senior telecommunications technical officer with Telstra, more than 2 years ago. Back then, he was waiting to be sentenced, facing a jail term for his tank attack.
I was involved with rolling the technology out. I was very responsible for any safety things that actually happened. So I felt obligated to actually do something about it.
John borrowed his mate's armoured personnel carrier, one of only 2 in the country, and rammed 8 equipment shelters housing transmitters for mobile phone towers.
It disrupts the bioelectric system of your body, which is really your brain, your nervous system, how your muscles talk.
For 20 years, John tested Telstra digital systems. Over the time, he realised the dangers of electromagnetic radiation. When he moved to this Telstra depot in between 2 mobile phone towers, he got violently sick.
It microwaved us. So I got all the test gear out and measured it and drew up a report and showed that it was an occupational hazard to work in that building with that amount of radiation. And I was immediately removed from service.
The people on the inside of the telecom industry are trying to tell you how to...
The telco insider whose mobile phone tower protest went...
Okay, that's about all I wanted to show on that. Sorry, it's kind of skipped back a little bit there, but crazy story. Man smashes 5G towers down with tank after testing area for radiation. April 5th, 2020. It's a little bit older story, but it's been one I've been kind of watching. Okay, what's this? It's like an hour long. Oh, okay. Somebody sent this to me as well, and just want to kind of share a little bit. I'll play a little bit of the opening, but Dr. Tenpenny, have you heard of this lady? This is the biggest scam ever perpetrated on the human race. I found this on Spiro Scoris YouTube channel, but this might be something you want to look into as well. If you're following all this and you like seeing all the different perspectives on it, Dr. Tenpenny is one that a lot of people are sharing and seem to be trusting. And I'll just play a little bit of this opening here to give us an idea of what this is all about.
If people can really take a 30,000-foot view and see where this is going, this is America's last hurrah, man. If we don't all collectively stand up and say not only no, but hell no.
For people who think that, well, no, they're not going to mandate vaccines. Well, look, just a few months ago, you probably would have said, no, they're not going to lock down the entire country. I mean, they are rolling this out. Their foot is on the gas. They have us right where they want us. They've been conditioning us and getting us ready, as you stated, preparing us for this exact moment in time right now. This is such a critical time for humanity, for people everywhere right now. I mean, they just took the guns away from the public in Canada yesterday, banning 1,500 different types of guns. They just came out and announced, effective immediately.
Remember that whole thing that they started a while ago, that campaign, if you see something, say something? That was the prelude to what's happening right now. That was the warm-up to get that in people's psyche. See something that's not safe, say something.
This is unbelievable. They have total immunity. They have all of the endless funding. They can do whatever they want. There's no checks and balances in place. There's no repercussions. There's no accountability. and it's just the blank check of all blank checks at this point.
People are losing everything: their homes, their cars, their jobs, their businesses, their credit scores, everything over nothing. And so keeping us in the social isolation of this lockdown is, in my opinion, is simply so that people cannot rise up and say, I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore.
All right, so that's all. I didn't want to play a whole lot of that, just a little bit. But I know people are always looking for, new people to listen to on this, new perspectives, and this is one that apparently a lot of people are really, really digging on. I've had a few people send this to me. So, Dr. Penny, this is the biggest scam ever perpetrated on the human race. The Crown virus pandemic is an act of war designed to crash the global economies and bring in the New World Order with a digital ID. Yep, that's the basic. We know. Is the C-19 lockdown a preparation for World War III? Reports indicate that the U.S. is preparing to activate the draft. Last night, the host of Agenda 21 Radio and the president of the New California Movement, Paul Preston, said that selective service centers, i.e. the draft, are being activated in the anticipation of a coming war. This dovetails perfectly with information sent to me by John Moore this morning on May 5th, 2020. I can't verify this stuff, but I just want to share. I thought it was interesting. And I've been watching a lot of the trends in the news about war, especially China. So I wanted to share this one. The following is sent to me by John Moore, former Green Beret and present talk show host. John Moore is a highly regarded source of information. This is a copy of a sanitized summary of an intelligence report and briefing. Monday, May 4th, 2020. Okay, I just got off the phone with a retired brigadier general who goes to the Pentagon on a regular basis as requested to give his insight. I've seen his photo when XX stopped by his house. Bunch of X's. He asked, "Do you really want to know? They'll be watching you for me sharing information." I told him, "Brother, they already are, and they can enjoy the show, LOL." He then told me, "What the hell do you think the government has been preparing for?" Says, this war is coming here. China is on the way and positioning themselves. What do you need face masks for? Bombs, dust, etc. If the government came out and said we are about to go to war on our soil, people would panic, run to stores, and be complete chaos. But if we have you prepare for a virus and stock up on food and masks and first aid, then you're ready when it happens. We're bringing all the troops home for a fight. They aren't dying of sickness. They need a reason to come back without alerting the public. I've known him for a long time. He has always told me things way before I even see them on the news. Here's my reaction to these releases of information as it relates to World War III. Okay, there's that. I got that from Dave, or thecommonsenseshow.com. If you want to check that out, maybe something for us to keep our eyes on, perhaps. You don't know. There's all kinds of truly crazy, goofy, loony conspiracy theories that pop up all the time. You never really know, but that it's an interesting idea, isn't it? That's really what we're preparing for, is that. I hope not, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing surprises me. Jane's Addiction is a band. They don't perform anymore, but I used to like them a lot. Many years ago, they had a name of one of their albums was called Nothing Shocking. And that always stayed with me because that was a part of my personality. Even back then, I always felt like nothing really shocks me. I don't get shocked by much. I'm so open to whatever the possibilities could be that when crazy crap comes my way, it's like, that kind of makes sense. I understand that, Anyway, here's something else I wanted to share. This is from Shepherd's Heart Life blogs. And I just thought this was a little bit I wanted to share with you. While you're rejoicing about the lifting of the lockdown, not so fast, my friends. Each move from here on out is the unfurling of the global governance flag or banner over us. This is a nefarious operation of evil. Each successive wave will have new and shape-shifting torture and torments. This next phase includes removing children from loving homes. It even begins in the hospital, where the birth of a baby should be bringing untold joy to families, but is silenced as the newly born baby is removed from its mother and is told it has died, and the mother cannot see it because of pathogens. The global powers want, yes, demand your children as a sacrifice. Once removed from your godly custodial care, they may live to become the toys of the elite or a sacrificed blood offering. It will depend upon their bloodline that is secured and mined in this harvesting of blood. and is presented to the quantum beast intelligence, animating it to life. I shared this because someone shared it with me. One of my subs emailed this to me. So I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty hardcore. I'll tell them about it. This is pretty interesting. So it says, how is this? As with all predators, your godly heritage, even before birth, is being stalked, selected, and tagged for who will go where. They obtain vital information about your bloodline under the C19 testing, digging deep into your family and your unique secrets that Almighty God bestowed upon you. You must understand the foundation of cornerstone is your blood, and the blood of your offering, holy unto God. Think about this before you voluntarily submit your blood, your most precious asset beside his spirit and breath, to the beast system. Hey, they use the beast system. Your blood and bloodline containing the sacrificial blood of Jesus can never be willingly surrendered to the powers of wickedness. And should it be decreed by these evil tyrants to murder these children, God's children, then they will believe they are doing God's work. This COVID testing is a harvesting and mining operation. Whether you have children or not, your blood will be used in rituals, experimentation, and shared with countless researchers and engineers, as all the rules and checks and balances of medical privacy, experimentation, and even the sanctity of life have been suspended. Cry to the Lord, ye people of God. Okay, that's hardcore. Still wanted to share, but that's really hardcore, I'd say. Yeah, it reminds me of the whole people submitting, paying money and submitting their DNA to find out their DNA history. I've talked about that throughout the years. I've never done it, never wanted to. I'm adopted. I don't know who my natural born parents are. I've never met them. But I've always been freaked out about submitting my DNA. And even think about this. Little Susan that runs YouTube, her sister is the girl that runs, My DNA or DNA 23 or 23andMe or something. One of those DNA companies. She runs that as well. That just gives me the heebie-jeebies even more about it. Also reminds me randomly of a movie called The Kingsman, where they wound up finding this kid, and they mentioned they found him through DNA submission, like he submitted his DNA sample or something for whatever, to one of these companies, and that's where they found him. And that's been a thought process with many of us throughout the years. Is that what they're actually doing with these commercials and these companies and corporations begging for your DNA? You're even paying for their service, paying them money to take your DNA. And what are they really looking for? Some people have even hypothesized it's the bloodline of Christ. Who knows? But it's interesting stuff. It is. I'm rambling again, I know. 9 signs of the end times that are unfolding right in front of our eyes. This is from Michael Snyder. You don't know who Michael Snyder is, man. You should check him out. He's prolific. He's been writing articles for many, 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 many years, all over the place. Prolific, absolutely prolific, and wide awake, and a follower of Christ as well. Michael Snyder. This is his website, one of them, intotheamericandream.com. Global events are beginning to spiral out of control, and this has created a resurgence in interest in what the Bible is to say about the last days. Throughout the scriptures, we are warned about apocalyptic events that will precede the second coming of Jesus Christ, and a lot of people are wondering if that period of time is now upon us. All over the internet, people are engaging in all sorts of speculation, and lots of really bizarre theories are being thrown around, and this is causing a great deal of confusion. But all of this confusion is not necessary, because the Bible is actually very clear about what's coming. Jesus had quite a bit to say about the time just before his return, and he specifically instructed his followers to watch for certain signs. He wanted us to understand that he knew about all of these things in advance, that he has a plan, and that he is in control. So there is no need to fear. In fact, Jesus told us these things so that we would not be afraid. 3 of the key chapters where Jesus discusses these events of the last days are Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21 to set the stage for the rest of this article. Let me just share these quick verses. I'll skip down. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines and pestilences and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. I always think the fearful sights and great signs there shall be from heaven. Part of that is the stuff I've been showing y'all forever. These little dancing demons in the skies, and also the whole thing with now lately the sky is changing colors. That's part of my new video. So there's a lot going on up there. Could it be possible that we have entered a time when these things are starting to be fulfilled? To answer that question, let's examine some of the global events that are currently unfolding. Number one, wars and rumors of wars. Wars coming to the Middle East, and it might be coming a lot sooner than most people think. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is very eager to annex portions of Judea and Samaria before the U.S. election in November. I don't want to read all these because he writes long articles, but this is on endoftheamericandream.com. I'll show you the titles though. Wars and rumors of wars. 1. Earthquakes. We know those have been increasing. Volcanoes have been increasing. Ring of fire. The ring of fire has been popping off. Crazy weather patterns. Absolutely. Perhaps even direct energy weapons as well. Armies of locusts. Yep. African swine fever. Famines and food riots. Economic collapse. And the crown virus plague. The pandemic. All right, there you go. 900 Missouri residents who snitched on lockdown rule breakers fear retaliation after details leaked online. Hundreds of Missouri residents had their personal details shared online after the publication of a document that recorded reports made against those flouting lockdown measures. Some people are now concerned that they will face consequences for snitching on crown virus rule breakers in St. Louis County, Missouri. This is classic. It comes after St. Louis County authorities called on people to report businesses and persons not following statewide lockdown measures last month. The names and addresses of almost 900 people, 900 Karens, were shared on Facebook to name and shame them after authorities have released the data following a media request under the state's Sunshine Law, which requires authorities to release information submitted to public agencies. That's classic. So all the tattletales have their personal information released. Oof. An army of Karens. Urgent. Stores notified of product and food outages lasting until late September. This is from Hal Turner radio show. Sparsely filled shelves in supermarkets and grocery stores are going to get worse, much worse. I've obtained an internal corporate document listing products and foods which will no longer be available after next week through to August or September. I'm not going to read all of it, but these apparently are the lists he's got. Well, can't really read them. Well, there we go. There's some. Oh, yeah, I can read them. So all that. There's a bunch of Campbell's on there. Charmin. No, not the Charmin. Clorox, Dawn, Fiesta, all right, Bleach. Here's another one. Huggies, that could be an issue. Tombstone Pizza? Oh boy. Huggies. Bunch of, ibuprofen, isopropyl, bunch of children's medication, it looks like. All right. Moving on. Classified Chinese report warns Beijing it faces Tiananmen-like global backlash over crown virus that could lead to armed confrontation with the U.S. Just the headline I was going to share. Like I said, another one of those trends we've been watching here for the last month or so. We've seen more and more stories talking about this war with China. You know? Elon Musk changed his Twitter avatar to a game that predicted globalist takeover. This is from May 1st, 2020. Tech billionaire Elon Musk changed his Twitter avatar to the box art of a 20-year-old video game that took place in a dystopian future that at the time seemed like pure science fiction, but now is looking disturbingly prophetic. I've talked about this before, Deus Ex. The game title Deus Ex, maybe I said that wrong, but it's whatever. I'm from Oklahoma. Had a plot that centered around a man-made virus used to control the population and an international elite that used an empowered China alongside a crippled America to further their agenda. all while exploring themes of transhumanism, mass surveillance, and the destruction of local powers and individual freedom. To be blunt, the game simply couldn't be made today. Here's a short video of just some of the dialogue the playable character can hear. Yeah, this is called a Deus Ex dropping red pills. How long is this? Oh, it's short. Let's check this out. This is classic. I know I showed this to you before, but this is, it's probably been a while since we looked at this, but it's pretty weird too that, Elon Musk, is it weird? I don't know. Elon Musk is an interesting character. The Neuralink stuff concerns me. Sometimes he seems like he's a good guy, and then he does weird crap like that, right? So he's just one to watch. I don't want to, come right out and say he's evil, he's bad. I don't know. I don't know the man's heart. Maybe he can be changed. Maybe we're seeing signs of him actually really waking up. Maybe he could wind up being a real hero someday for liberty and freedom. I don't know, man. Some of you are saying, no, it's never going to happen. I don't know that for sure. I did a video on him. I see all the weird. He's just had a child with a witch. Okay, this isn't good. But I have hope for people that they can find their way to God. In my opinion, through Christ, find Christ, get connected to the Lord. Through the Son to the Father. I have hope for people. I don't like just writing them off. Even if they do wicked, evil things, a lot of these celebrities will cover and stuff. I don't want to just write them off or say they're horrible, evil people, because I want to have hope for everybody. I know I'm naive. I'm a dork. Anyway, let's watch this.
Don't forget, it was the NSF that C4'd the statue in the first place. UNATCO's here to put the pieces back together. Ask me, I think the government did it. They want people to think the NSF are terrorists.
I think the government made the plague on purpose to get rid of the population growth. Number one, in 1945, corporations paid 50% of federal taxes. Now they pay about 5%. Number two, in 1900, 90% of Americans were self-employed. Now it's about 2%. The entire executive branch is handpicked. 19 of the last 23 U.S. presidents have been members of the Trilateral Commission. The Trilateral Commission is financed by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds.
Straight truth.
You ever ask what it's for? The surveillance, the police, the shoot-on-sight laws. Is that freedom? The more of us you kill, the more that secessionism lives in the hearts of the people. Ever wonder why big car companies pay 2% tax while the guys on the assembly line pay 40%? Corporations are so big you don't even know who you're working for. That's terror. Terror built into the system.
Need I remind you that in the case of a national emergency, FEMA has a list of 6 million Americans who will be transported to detention centers? Your tabloids call it RX-84.
Yeah, including the President, Congress, and the Supreme Court.
In my position, I find it very easy to add names to that list.
The whole project of world government, going back to the League of Nations, has been funded and manipulated mainly by wealthy bankers. Remember that the UN itself was built on land donated by John D. Rockefeller. The wealthy have always been the ones to profit from one world government. The United Nations' secret goal, well, this is David Rockefeller's description from a half a century ago. The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers.
Everything's so compartmentalized.
Kaczynski was right about the division of labor. I'll give it that much.
Who puts the pieces together?
Someone who makes a lot more money than we do.
The West, so afraid of strong government, now has no government, only financial power.
Our governments have limited power by design.
Metric, you believe it? Don't you know where these slogans come from? Well-paid researchers. How do you say it? Think tanks, funded by big businesses. What is that? A think tank? Privately funded propaganda. The Trilateral Commission in the United States, for instance.
People know the government has a vaccine. Riots everywhere. The same corporation that makes ambrosia also manufactures the virus. Quite convenient. They're infecting people on purpose, huh?
Executive Order 109090. It lets us take over all modes of transportation.
FEMA can do that?
If the president declares an emergency, Executive Order 109095, we can take over the media.
All of it?
Any and all. Executive Order 109097, we can take command of natural resources.
RX-84.
What's that?
One of the plans. You haven't heard of RX-84?
Uh-huh.
FEMA takes over the highways, police, airports, media, the armed forces.
But they still report to the president, right?
Not until the end of the emergency. That's for efficiency. Also, they have plans on the books to arrest 5 million Americans the day the emergency is declared.
Terrorists?
Immigrants mostly, but also anyone the FBI has been watching.
I have seen it since I was a girl, the plotting and scheming of corporations to make Europe into one big country with no separate languages, cultures, or tastes.
It's more than Europe they plan to unify. Some people just don't understand the dangers of indiscriminate surveillance.
But then there's the other side of that. We go a little deeper, and maybe he is right. Maybe he really is a total sellout to the to the Luciferian system, and he's one of them, and he's using this as his new avatar, as hiding in plain sight. You're putting it right in front of your face, or their own form of lesser magic, that they know something like this is coming, right? But then people still praise him as red-pilled and a good guy at the same time. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I consider all the different angles, on some of these things. And I just keep watching, and I try to put the pieces together. And the fact that he just had a child with Grimes, who's an admitted witch, and has all the symbolism in her videos, it's not good. Not good. I'm just saying. It's not a good sign. Founder of Clap for NHS, National Health Service movement, wants it to end. Anne-Marie Plass, a Dutch national living in South London, said she was overwhelmed by the support for the ritual, but said it was better to stop when it was at its peak, reports Sky News. I guess there's some, they're all wearing rainbows. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I guess I'm guessing this is something that happened over there in England or in United Kingdom. Clap for the National Health Service, NHS. I showed that in that 2012, the opening ceremony 2012 Olympics, where they're, empty hospital beds and all that. And they also had a whole segment about praising the NHS in there as well, which was interesting, So now we still see it here, of course. Hope you saw that video. If you didn't, go back and watch my videos. Don't forget to watch my videos. Plus, a yoga teacher, said, without getting too political, I share some of the opinions that some people have about it becoming politicized. I think the narrative is starting to change, and I don't want the clap to be a negative. In reality, Plus is likely calling for an end to the event, which takes place every Thursday at 8 p.m., because it's begun to fizzle out and will begin to look increasingly pathetic as fewer people take part in it. The optics of having one final big event will look far better than if the weekly clapathon was allowed to fade away. As we previously highlighted, skeptics have pointed out that the event has turned into a bizarre kind of communal ceremony, with the NHS being deified, as a religious institution. Right, let me read that again. With the NHS being deified as a religious institution. Doctor and author Theodore Dalrymple, cool name, like that. Theodore Dalrymple, says the NHS worship clapathon reminds him of communist despotism. It reminds me a little in its tendency to get longer and louder and almost more hysterical. Right off the bat, look up some of these videos of Kim Jong-un giving public speeches, in North Korea, and look at the people, and that's exactly what they're doing. It's like they're clapping to the point of lunacy. It's a mania. It's like these people are just, they won't stop clapping, and they look like they don't almost do it to death. It's insane. Check those videos out. Just reading that little bit right there immediately made me think of that. But look up some of these videos of the people cheering their dear leader, and it's terrifying. I think it's terrifying. It reminds me a little in its tendency to get longer and louder and almost more hysterical of the applause after a speech by Nikolai Costco or other communist despot, in which everyone in the audience had to show himself as enthusiastic and most enthusiastic applauder, and to continue applauding as long as someone else was applauding. For to be the first to stop might be taken as a sign of disloyalty and dissent from the official line, wrote the author. Also reminiscent of 1984. Not just the novel, but the movie. You see the movie they made about that. Same thing. The dear leader showed up on the screen and everybody applauded and cheered. And then they'd show the people that were against the dear leader, and, they people like us against the mainstream, and they, booed and jeered and, hated on those people. You see that? Check it out. Look at this, man. Another one. Frickin' YouTube. YouTube removes John Piper's audiobook. I already showed you that. We saw that earlier. I was looking at none other than Jesus Christ. Near-death experience puts man face-to-face with God. Jim Woodford had no interest in God until he experienced God's miraculous power in our modern world. He was on life support and received a major wake-up call. All the things that I thought were just some crazy old legend, it's real. It's a dimension that exists. Something far beyond anything I could have ever imagined was happening to me, says Jim. An ambitious, self-made man, Jim earned his nickname Diamond Jim. He was focused on providing a life of luxury for his family. According to his wife, Lorraine, nothing was too big of a problem. He could fix it. Jim says, I thought that was my way of showing her how much I loved her and cared for our family, was by providing everything that I could. But Lorraine, a Christian, prayed for something more. Specifically, she prayed, God, please change his heart, bring him to know Jesus, and just make a change in him and deal with this materialistic way. Over the years, the money and materialism had started to consume Jim as he pulled away from his family. Jim shares, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd say to myself, is this all there is? At 61 years old, he was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. A rare incurable disease resulting in chronic pain. As Jim explains, it was unremitting electrical current pain in every part of my body, accompanied with paralyzing inability to move. For the next 5 years, Jim relied on prescription meds to manage the pain. Lorraine says he was just getting to be a very angry person. The pain was just consuming him. Jim says, never once, and this speaks to the arrogance, did I reach inside or look up to the sky and say, God, if you exist, help me out here. Not me, not Diamond Jim. In April 2014, Lorraine said a desperate prayer for Jim's heart. She shares, I said, God, I've been praying, but I haven't seen any change. Maybe you just have to break him to remake him, but be careful what you pray for. Later that month, after taking more than 4 times his dosage, Jim went to inspect a field he was planning to sell. He says, while sitting in his truck, he felt a growing burning sensation in his legs. He says, and suddenly I realized I couldn't breathe. It was as though the cab of the truck was filling with water. As I'm about to draw my last breath, from somewhere inside of me that I didn't even know existed, I cried out, God, forgive me, forgive me. When Jim didn't come home, Lorraine called the police. He was found in his truck unresponsive and was rushed to the hospital. Lorraine rallied friends and family to pray. She remembers the head doctor came out and he said, your husband is severely brain damaged. There's no brain activity there. And he said, we have him on full life support because of his organs have all shut down, he said, and there's no way to bring him back. Lorraine continues, I was apologizing for praying what I prayed, but I didn't know it would come to this. There's something else she didn't know. Since the attack, Jim had been experiencing a very different reality. Jim explains, I looked to the right and there's this incredible vista of beautiful flowers and meadows, and I turned my vision to the left and that beautiful green grass went from green to brown to scorched black and dropped off in a crevice. I saw the most hideous creature you could ever imagine, and I fell back in abject terror, the look of hatred in its eyes for me and all of mankind. But at this point, I turned toward the light, and I raised both hands this time, and I cried out, God, help me, help me. Then Jim says 3 angels came and took him through heaven. He says, I realized I was looking at none other than Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And he looked at me with those violet eyes, and all I heard was, James, what did you do with the life my master gave you? I had no answer, but as I looked into his eyes and he smiled at me. He smiled at me. He knew me. I saw such intense love and forgiveness for me who deserved nothing. And that was the moment I was his forever. Whatever was about to become of me, I loved him, and he loved me. Jim says he wanted to stay, but Jesus said he had other plans for him. Jim says Jesus told him, go back and tell your brothers and sisters of the wonders we have shown you. Suddenly, I'm in a cold hospital room on a gurney, screaming at the top of my lungs. Scared the daylights out of some of the nurses. Lorraine remembers a nurse came out and said, Miss Woodward, can you come here with me? And I thought, he's gone. Jim says, and I'm just overwhelmed that I'm seeing Lorraine again. I said, Lorraine, I saw Jesus, and Jesus has horses. Lorraine explains, the more I could talk to him and know that he was sane, I knew God had restored him. Lorraine realized God had also answered her prayer to break Jim and remake him. She says he was focused on Jesus and he became much gentler. And while Jim still has the markers of the syndrome, He has been completely pain-free. Today, Jim is intent on telling everyone he can about salvation in Jesus Christ. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Google activity censoring anti-Chinese Communist Party phrase communist bandit from YouTube comments. Freaking, again, just more of this. Google-owned tech giant YouTube is reportedly algorithmically censoring the anti-Chinese Communist Party phrase Gong Fei in the comments section of YouTube videos. Gong Fei in Chinese is an anti-communist insult that translates to communist bandit or communist gangster that has historically been directed at the CCP and has recently seen a resurgence in use by activists in Taiwan and Hong Kong. YouTuber and blogger Jenny Zheng posted a video to Twitter on Wednesday that appeared to show comments containing the communist bandit insult being deleted in real time on YouTube. YouTube automatically deletes a comment in Chinese. That's creepy. How far it's gone, right? YouTube automatically deletes comment in Chinese. You know, it's offensive to the CCP. Oh man. In Chinese, Gong Fei, which means communist bandit, in 15 seconds. This person tested 3 times, same result. Let's see if there's a video here. Let's see. I don't think there's any audio, but anybody Chinese in the audience tonight? There any Chinese people out there? Might be. I don't know. Okay, that made no sense to me either, but there you go. Madagascar cure. We have been on. Oh, we saw that earlier. Oh, we're going back to the edge here. Oh, here's a good one. And this goes back to the whole Spotify. I had people asking me earlier if I was interested in Spotify or if I've considered Spotify. I'm certainly not on Joe Rogan's level. That guy is, he's huge on YouTube. But, you know, personally, I was happy to see this. Joe Rogan helped create a podcast culture on YouTube, and now he's leaving it. You guys heard about this? It's pretty big news. It's a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. You know, immediately, I know, KG, I can't believe you listen to Joe Rogan. He said that he's one of these. Stop, relax. I get it. You know, he doesn't even believe in Jesus. I think he's more like astrotheology, probably borderline agnostic, you know, I mean, but I'm with all that. But I've said this before, you know, you eat the meat, you throw away the bones, you know, you learn to discern things. And there is some wisdom to be found with Rogan, and there is some wisdom to be found through his guests. And I do enjoy his show. I don't like when they start bashing, you know, get into the areas of bashing Christ or people who believe in Christ or any of that kind of stuff. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen. I don't like that. Okay. But some of the other stuff I can be down with, you know, you can learn a lot. Joe Rogan is largely moving on from YouTube, a site that helped transform his podcast into a viral video making factory, earning him nearly 10 million subscribers in the process. It's the latest sign that creators who found success on YouTube see other platforms as the next step, right? Could be, but it doesn't mean that YouTube is anywhere close to being cut out of the podcast game. Later this year, Rogan will bring his mega popular podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, exclusively to Spotify. It's not just Rogan who's leaving YouTube behind either. At a time when video podcasts on YouTube are more popular than ever, some of the platform's biggest personalities have been taking their content to other services. YouTube star Emma Chamberlain launched her podcast off platform. Tyler Oakley and Corey Cooey moved their show Psychobabble away from YouTube. And like Rogan, Daniel Keem and Ricky Banks just signed a deal to bring their YouTube show Mom's Basement to Spotify. See, Spotify might be a place, man. It might be the place. I don't know much about it, you know, but if there's more freedom there, just to be loose, I don't know if it's a video thing. I think it might just be purely podcast. Still, it might be a cool thing for me to go. I mean, in the future, who knows? It might be some, you know, I'm still want to carry on what I do somehow in some way, no matter what happens in the future. If YouTube goes away from me, I don't plan on that. I don't see it, but you never know. You know, I don't want it to happen, but if it does, I'll continue somewhere. And maybe I'll start some of these sites early. Maybe I will start looking more into Spotify and Twitch here soon. Maybe start something up there and just kind of messing around a little bit, you know? Who knows? Doing shorter versions of these shows, like a daily type show in some of those formats or something. I'm not sure. or just getting into some of the books I like to read about the subjects we get into and putting some stuff together, showing you some modern examples of things I've read in books from the 1940s that are happening now and stuff. I mean, there's a lot I can get into. I used to do a lot of that with a show I did called Catching Up with KJ many years ago. You can still find them on the channel, but it was real random. Every week it could be something different. Sometimes we were reading jokes for 2 hours, or sometimes I was reading books from Kurt Vonnegut or Ray Bradbury, or just short stories from people and things like that. It was all very random. So maybe I can do something like that again, that kind of a format on one of these new areas. I don't know. But right now it's not about me, it's about Joe Rogan. These creators' success, though, often came from optimizing around YouTube as a platform in the first place. The Joe Rogan Experience YouTube channel is just under 8.5 million subs, with videos collectively pulling in more than 2 billion views since it launched in 2013. On top of those, Rogan currently runs on a secondary channel where he posts clips from the podcast. Well, there's more to this. Alex Jones actually is kind of involved in this. Apparently, let me see here. Let's do that. Trying to find this. Okay, here we go. Maybe there'll be a clip here, but this is where I first heard. I'll still go listen to some of Alex Jones' shows, and a lot of people have totally cut him out. I see the good and the bad. I'm not a fan at all of the way he's made people in this community look. But even still to this day, there's news he'll bring out, or stories he'll bring out that I won't find other places. It's a good place to find some of those sometimes. But he actually has a personal connection to this. Here, well, let me see here. Let me go back. I want to find the video clip where he's talking about Joe Rogan actually called him and told him about this. Okay, here we go. Maybe this is it.
Let's talk about this madhouse news. I have no...
Nope, that's not it. Let's try this. I'll find the clip somewhere. Hang in there with me. Wow, it's already been 2.5 hours, man. Are you guys still doing okay? Hanging in there with me? I just realized, man, a lot of times this is when the show's over. I still got quite a few stories to go here. Okay, maybe this is it. Let's see.
I bet on humanity. I bet on you. I bet on my father, my mother, my wife.
No, this is really long. Crap. I don't want to see that. I want to see. Maybe this will be it. Okay, this is it. Check this out. Some of this.
Like why? What's the archetypal weirdness that he called in September? He said, I want some. You told me this stuff 20 years ago. You told me 10 years ago. You told me a couple of years ago. Videos he's got out there.
Here we go.
That's the biggest media there is. Finally saying, I'm done. Because Joe, his program, American Countdown, that airs here at newswars.com and band.video weeknights, 7 to 9 p.m. Central. We have about 26 minutes left here. I was taking a few days off with my children, and I was grilling hamburgers on the back porch, watching my children swim in our little backyard pool when Joe Rogan called me. He called me this morning and he said, I'm going to call you after 4 o'clock California time, 6 o'clock Texas time. I said, okay, great. Phone rings. I told my wife, hey, you guys over here, I talked to Joe. And Joe's a very guarded person. I've known him 22 years, but this was like a fire hose. And he goes, yeah, say this on air. Go public. The gloves are off. Total war. And I'm like, let me get a pad and paper. So I go try to pad a pad and paper. And I'm trying to well, what's on record? What's not on record? What can I say? And he goes, just say it all. And he kept saying things and telling me things. And 10 minutes into this, like a 45-minute conversation. The show, we're drinking beer in Las Vegas or something. That's hours of conversation. But on the phone, it's a few minutes. 45 minutes of him going off. And I'm like, well, what am I allowed to say? Because he's telling me, I want you to go on air. I want you to say this. I want you to. At the end of it, he says, just put it all out. Well, there's no way to put 45-minute conversation out, and it's import because it's bigger than Alex Jones. It's bigger than Donald Trump. It's bigger than Hillary Clinton. It's bigger than all of us. It's about somebody that was number one in their field, reaching 20, 30 million people a day with all the aggregate videos he's got out there. That's the biggest media there is. Finally saying, I'm done. Because Joe is a pragmatist. He's a patriot. He's an American. He's as smart as I am or smarter. When I say that, it's not a compliment. It's the truth. He finishes my sentences. He knows all of it. He's addicted to it. He's the real Alex Jones, but the one that's smart enough to think, oh, I'm going to jujitsu this whole thing. I'm going to figure this out. And now that he finally got the position number one, he said, Alex, I'm taking the gloves off. So here's what he told me. Okay, the stock's up a couple billion at Spotify. He did this, and he's made 110 million or whatever. And I know the inside baseball. He gets 20 minutes of each show that's still going to be on YouTube. And he got in the contract with Spotify that he could have Alex Jones on. I'm in the contract. and so, but he went on. He said, listen, you told me this stuff 20 years ago. You told me 10 years ago. You told me a couple of years ago about YouTube, Google censorship. I thought, okay, maybe some of it, but whatever. He just couldn't imagine they were so un-American. And he said to me today, he said, listen, I love America. I love freedom. He said the things they've done, the things they've told me, the way they've talked to us like we're dogs is so un-American. It's not about me. It's about I'd rather die than do this. He goes, I don't care if I get shut off everywhere. He goes, I'm going to war in September. And he said, I want you first guest out of the gate, and then Elon Musk next. And if they think they've been attacked so far, get ready. And because I know Joe, he knows as much or more. I mean, it's scary. You're about to see a calculated Alex Jones. And he said, I don't care what happens. It's for my kids. These people, because he has the inside metrics. He goes, Elon Musk, 100 plus million views. They shadow ban it. They block it. They claim it's 10 million views. Same thing. That's the new interview. And so all of this and these tech dictators, I told Joe a few years ago, I said, I'm coming after you because I know you know all this as much as I do or more. I know you're just as tough as I am, maybe tougher, probably tougher. And you're letting these people piss on you? I said, I demand you attack them. And Joe's like, oh, they're not that bad. And once he finally saw them, here was the straw that broke the camel's back. He tries to get medical doctors on, people that own hospitals, PhDs on top of it. And YouTube tells him, you're not having them on. And he goes, wait a minute, I can't have major he watches all these medical doctors being banned. And again, Joe Rogan is all of us. Like, I am Spartacus, you were Spartacus. There's this moment where you're just like, you know what? I'm not going to bow to you anymore. I'm not going to get down on my knees ever again. This is ridiculous. A bunch of unnamed, weird, crazy tech heads on a bunch of drugs are telling us that we can't promote freedom when Joe Rogan is a guy that loves everybody. And so he was being offered these Spotify deals 6-8 months ago. He wasn't going to take it. He's making $50 million a year. What he's doing. But when YouTube started censoring him, and then he starts getting on the phone with the YouTube execs, and they're telling him, like he's a dog, it's that spirit that's going to save us, where people just stop caring about, because if you don't stand up for what you believe in, you lose it all. It doesn't even matter. So, again, this is like the first domino. Joe's a great guy, a smart guy. I knew he was this guy. I know he's smart. I know he's a patriot. I know he's alive. There's not many people I know out there that have as much dynamism as I do. And I'm not bragging when I say that. I mean, Joe Rogan's got more than I do. And I just begged him. I said to so much privately, we had dinner, last year in California. I said, man, Joe, I know you kick my ass right now. You're just as smart as ever smarter. Attack them. Be the man. Go after them. He said, well, I'm trying to convince them. He was meeting with all the top people. They brought him into all of it. He said, I'm trying to convince them to bring you back. I know they lied about you. Alex, believe me, they're not that bad. I can convince them. He finally realized it's war, man. These people are needle dicks. They want to dominate us because they know we are more powerful than them. And we leave them alone. Oh, I'm more powerful than you, but I'm going to let you exist. No, it's social Darwinism. The chicken dick wants to run us. And so Joe finally gets that the big tech and Google wanted to get its cock out and run it in his ass. And it's a family show, but this is what this is. And he finally completely broke with them. And this is the most archetypal. I can feel it metaphysically. I can see it intellectually. This is like the Death Star blowing up in Episode 4 of Star Wars.
I mean, it's extraordinary at multiple levels. And I think what he also recognized and realized is...
All right, I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's like 25 minutes long, but I want to give you a little bit of that. So, yeah, that's... we'll see where that goes. I like the idea, though, of seeing these bigger people moving off platform, moving off YouTube and making bigger moves, because it's not us, but it's going to help with the masses. It's going to get the masses used to the idea that you can still find quality information, outside of YouTube. It's not just YouTube. We can find it other places. There's other places we can go to find really good stuff outside of this. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. It'll be an interesting one to watch, won't it? I don't know much about Spotify. I'm going to go check it out, though. Major Western media, CNN, BBC, Reuters, Associated Press, all participated in Chinese Communist Party's Global Media Summit. It's a 7-minute read, so I don't want to read the whole thing, but just wanted to share that. It's from the National Pulse, if you want to check that out. But again, no surprise to most of us. We get this. We understand. Okay, man, wow, I forgot about that. I added this one. Good times. I guess a bit of a doom break. This is from a band called, what are they called? Negative XP. Negative XP is the name of this band. I just discovered them this week through this music video. I wanted to share it with you guys. I have my reasons why. When I first saw this, it made me think that this is, if I had any musical talent when I was a kid, or realized I had any musical talent back then, this is the kind of music I probably would have been making at 17 years old. Very much so. It appeals to me. It may not be for everybody. I understand that, but I'm into my own thing. I mean, Ween is one of my favorite bands. The Pixies as well, of course, another huge favorite band. Parquet Courts, Pavement. We can get into music sometime. So I like a lot of the punk aesthetic. I like the edge. I like the fringe. And I've said this before. It's interesting how we find ourselves now, that people who truly love Christ, follow Christ, some people call them Christians. That's a whole other thing, I think. But ultimately, those of us who have a relationship with the Lord God through Jesus, right? With that, we are the real fringe now. We're the punk rockers now. We're the edge lords, because the system is becoming so obviously wicked and sinister and evil and degenerate that if you're not a part of it, that's revolutionary, because I feel most people fall into it. So if we abandon Babylon, if we stand outside of this sick system, truly trying to follow the ways of Christ, not just claiming to be Christians and going to church, but really having a relationship with the Lord. We are the edge now. We're the fringe. Love, gratitude, kindness, grace, forgiveness. These are concepts that are spit on by this beast system, which is the mass majority, which is the mainstream, feet rushing to wickedness, Don't get me started. Anyway, this name of the song is called Scott Pilgrim vs. the World Ruined a Whole Generation of Women. This is not a family song, by the way, so just be prepared. There might be a couple naughty words in here.
Conceited with low self-esteem. She's a teenage dream if you hate yourself. Bright-dyed hair and obnoxious clothes, thinks communism is the way to go. She's a whore, a dime a dozen Jezebel. Fluoride blindness, that's all I took. 1,000 yards and more, all those guys that you quote. cokes and pokes out of a dirty bong. She saw Ramona Flowers and felt so empowered by a movie made in Hollywood. It's sad to think she's someone's daughter, like a lamb to the slaughter. But honestly, I'd still hit if I could. And ecstasy, 30 years old, but acts like she's 16. Likes to go to shows cause she's so fucking cool. Bright-eyed hair, but dead inside. Plan B lifetime supply. She's a whore, gave head since middle school. Only pedophiles in denial. Think she's anything worthwhile. Heard of that lifestyle drives you wild. She's an alcoholic loser bitch that likes to listen to shitty music. She drinks and smokes and cokes and chokes on dick. She saw Ramona Flowers and felt so empowered by a movie made in Hollywood. It's sad to think she's someone's daughter, like a lamb to the slaughter. But honestly, I'd still hit if I could. She saw Ramona Flowers and felt so empowered by a movie made in Hollywood. It's sad to think she's someone's daughter, like a lamb to the slaughter. But honestly, I'd still hit if I could. She saw Ramona Flowers and felt so empowered by a movie made in Peter Wood. It's sad to think she's someone's daughter, like a lamb to the slaughter. But honestly, I'd still hit if I could.
Wow, there you go. You know, you may not be with me on this one, but stuff like this gives me hope for the millennial generation. Now, these kids are all like late teens, early 20s. Band's called Negative XP, if you're interested. Raw, I like stuff like that. Yes, it can be a bit offensive. Okay, calm down. That's good, though. We need that. And, you know, there's been this whole history of punk music being more to the left or more liberal or whatever, but isn't it interesting how the paradigm has shifted now? It's like the so-called left or liberal has become so freaking nutty and extreme now in our world, especially in America, that now we're actually finding the new punk is more to the right of things, you know, on some level. But even in that video, he's making fun of both sides, which is great. You know, I love it. This is beyond red-pilled. Again, you may not be with me on this, but I'm a big music dork, and I just love to see raw, fresh voices coming out, talking against the mainstream on whatever level. It's good. I think this is a good thing. Pier 1 Imports to close all 550 stores after 58 years. Just the headline. More and more, we're seeing some of these, you know, major brands shutting down since the virus. Mom fuming as daughter 11 set homework asking her to, quote, define hardcore pornography. Youngsters in years 7, 8, and 9 were set to work for their personal, social, and health education class as part of their home learning during the coronavirus school shutdown. Teachers at Archbishop Sentamus Academy in East Hull asked the 11 to 14-year-olds to define pornography, soft pornography, hardcore pornography, and transsexual pornography, as well as female genital mutilation, wet dreams, trafficking, male circumcision, breast ironing and more. This is so devil right in your kid's ear. This is so beast system infiltrating those public systems. It's gross. They were also asked questions about alcohol, drugs, and smoking. Following complaints from parents, the Academy has now apologized for any offense caused. Here's some pictures of it. It's an 11-year-old kid. You want your 11-year-old kid at school having to explain all this, each one of these, answer these questions? Define revenge prawn? Yipes. Oof. Unbelievable. Man, let me see if I can make this picture bigger. Okay, cool, I can. This is from J-Lo. J-Lo's Instagram. That has to be photoshopped, or she's drinking blood. The lady looks incredible, for real. She's like 50 or in her early 50s. I mean, that could pass for 30s right there. But it's also the same thing. I'm not saying that's what it is, but it makes me wonder. Same thing with Marina Abramovich. The lady's in her 70s, and she could pass for her 40s. Easy. Makes me wonder. Anyway, here's an Instagram picture. And if you can't see, behind her, it looks like there's somebody, and there's a lot of theories on what this is. Some people say it could be a person wearing a mask for the virus. Some people say it looks like ridges, and it looks like someone's hand is over someone's mouth. Some say this is at her home in her personal gym. Some say it's at a gym public somewhere, that someone's outside. But clearly, if I make this bigger for you, if you look at this, it looks like, right? It looks like there's a guy with, it could be a hand with maybe a white glove on, I don't know, or a mask, something over his mouth. He looks like a bald white guy. Looks like he's scared, but he's right there, just over her right shoulder on our left. You see him back there in the window? Yeah. Now you see that. What do you think that could be? People are asking questions. Man, do you remember? This reminds me from maybe a month ago on one of these shows, and it was the Disney star, the ex-Disney star. I can't remember the girl's name off the top of my head now, but I showed you one of her Instagrams where she had all these photos laying out, and one of the photos was of, it looked like her child taped to a bed and had something over its mouth. And if it wasn't her child, it was a dummy that looked exactly like her child. It was really weird. But so I don't know, man. Sometime maybe, or maybe it's a gym and someone's outside working out. So they got a mask on. Maybe that's the guy that, she's going to drink his blood tonight. I don't know. I really don't know. But I wanted to share it with you. You're welcome. Flooding at Midland County, Sanford Dam. Have you guys heard about this? This is intense. I'm going to make it a little bigger and we'll check this out. Look at this. That's it. They're probably going to try to claim that. But you know what? It was worth it. Virginia family out for ride finds nearly $1 million in the road. Remember last week we had a story about a young man finding over 100,000 and he turned it in. Good boy, huh? Look at this though. This is much more intense. A Virginia family out for a ride to get a change of scenery after being holed up due to the crown virus found nearly $1 million in 2 bags lying in the road. Dave and Emily Shantz left their Caroline County home with their children last Saturday and drove their pickup truck over what they thought was a bag of trash, then stopped and picked it up, as well as another bag nearby, news sources reported. The Shantzes tossed the bags in the back of their pickup truck and kept riding. Only when the Shantzes returned home did they discover the bags contained money. Inside of the bag, there were plastic baggies, and they were addressed with something that said cash vault, Shantz told WTVR. They contacted the Caroline County Sheriff's Office, which sent deputies to the home. The deputies took inventory and determined the money totaled nearly $1 million. Caroline Sheriff's Major Scott Moser said authorities have since determined where the money was headed, but are still trying to figure out how it ended up in the middle of a road in Goochland County. Moser would not say specifically where the money was going, but he said he hopes the recipients offer the Shantzes a nice reward. Their actions deserve nothing less, Moser said. They saved someone a lot of money and set a wonderful example for everyone else. It's nice. See, there's still some good people out there. I told you. I've been trying to tell you. Oh, this is crazy.
In an attempt to contain the spread of
More of that. I don't know if I can make this full screen. This might be one of those that claims stuff. Doesn't matter anyway. I don't get monetized anyway. If you see videos or ads on my videos, it's because these people are claiming things. Anyway, check this out. It's a disinfection tunnel, and many are saying this is the testing ground for it, and that it's going to be heading perhaps to us very soon, if you're lucky.
In an attempt to contain the spread of coronavirus, a first-of-its-kind disinfectant tunnel has been set up at a market in Tirupur district in Tamil Nadu. People who come to the market to shop have to wash their hands and walk through the tunnel for 3 to 5 seconds. During the walk, sodium hypochlorite in a water base is sprayed on them. Portable Corona disinfectant tunnel is a 16-foot stainless steel structure fitted with nozzle sprayers inside. Tirupur-based entrepreneur D. Venkatesh, who runs a water treatment company, has built the tunnel by collaborating with district administration. Though sodium hypochlorite in a water base at 0.5 ppm is being used, it can be harmful for the eyes. Though the district administration has okayed it, some believe this should not be used on humans.
அடுத்து வந்து vehicles இதில் பாஸ் பண்ணுற மாதிரி vehicles அதிகமாக டிஸ்இன்ஃபெக்ட் பண்ணுற மாதிரி முயற்சிகள் பண்ணிட்டு வரக்கூடிய நாட்களில் அதையுமே செயல்படுத்தும்.
All right, there you go. No thanks. This is from Gons from the YouTube channel Face Like the Sun. And by the way, I don't know, Gons, if you're watching this. If you are, email me at thescariestmovieever@gmail.com, please, soon. We got to chat. We always miss each other on other websites and, Facebook and this and that. But, I'd love to do a show with you again soon. It's been a while. But this is from Gons from Face Like the Sun. Visa applied for a patent to form a digital dollar on the blockchain, but it's centralized. This is why learning the difference between decentralized and centralized blockchain is so important. The diagram published in the Visa patent is a dead giveaway, and he did a whole video on this, so if you're interested, you can go to Face Like the Sun and check it out, but I'll make this a little bigger. Check that out. You can actually see, it seems very obviously, under a section up there on the top right, architect, the architects, excuse me, under transaction processing network, but architect, and it looks like the Freemason square and compass right there. And this apparently has some connection to the mark as well. So check his video out if you want to see more about that, but there's some kind of a connection to Mark of the Beast technology as well. Interesting. How obvious some of this is getting. Okay, check this out. Speaks for itself.
Conspiracy theories, doctor? So you're engaging in conspiracy theories. What do you say to Dr. Fauci tonight?
Well, I would remind him that anytime healthcare intersects with dollars, it gets awkward. Right now, Medicare has determined that if you have a COVID-19 admission to the hospital, you'll get paid $13,000. If that COVID-19 patient goes on a ventilator, you get $39,000.
You think that's a bad sign?
If you have a COVID-19 admission to the hospital, you'll get paid $13,000. If that COVID-19 patient goes on a ventilator, you get $39,000.
There, that's all we need to know. We've seen a lot of stories on that too, about them fudging the numbers of the dead and trying to attribute so much to the COVID. Saw that earlier. Google Drive takes down users' personal copy of Judy Mickowicz's Plandemic. You guys seen Plandemic? I've talked about it here on the show after it was flagged by the Washington Post. If you're tired of... Oh, never mind. Ever since big tech platforms started cracking down on what they deemed to be crown virus misinformation, the media has been willfully flagging alleged violations to social media companies and getting content taken down. Now, the file storage and sharing service Google Drive has started to take down users' files in response to media complaints about them containing crown virus misinformation. In an article reporting on the takedown, the Washington Post's Silicon Valley correspondent Elizabeth Dwalskin complains that after the crown virus documentary Plandemic was censored on social media, some YouTube clips were telling users how to access banned footage from the documentary via Google Drive. She then notes that after the Washington Post contacted Google, Google Drive took down a file featuring the trailer for the Plandemic documentary. Wow. There it is, huh? Dwalskin frames users sharing files containing the Plandemic trailer with each other as a wave of seemingly countless workarounds employed by people motivated to spread misinformation about the virus, efforts that continue to thwart social media companies' attempts at preventing hoaxes and conspiracy theories from spreading amid the great public health crisis in decades. Dwalskin also writes that the Washington Post reported 12 videos to YouTube, 61 Facebook posts and Instagram links to Facebook, and 24 videos to TikTok for featuring the Plandemic trailer. Again, just another example, and we see where that's going, right? If you haven't seen the movie Plandemic, you should. It's probably on BitChute. You should look it up. It's everything we talk about. Dolphins bring gifts from sea in apparent response to lack of human interaction during Plandemic isolation. Where's the video? It's been weeks since visitors at Barnacle's Cafe and Dolphin Feeding lined up to feed the animals due to crown virus restrictions. Now it seems the Dolphins are trying to communicate something. According to a report by 7 News, let's see if there's a video here. There it is. Well, looks like I lost it. Oh well, sorry guys, I lost that one. But here we go. Here's some YouTube drama news. G Fuel removes YouTuber Keemstar from website after H3H3 video. I'm not going to get into the whole, I'm not going to play the videos and all this stuff, but if you didn't know, H3H3 and Keemstar from a YouTube channel called Drama Alert are really big mainstream YouTubers. Big followings, lots of views. But they have some beef recently where H3H3 came out, started... he made a video about all this bad stuff Keemstar has done in the past. But in the video, the important part of this is he's going after G Fuel, which was Keemstar's sponsor, and asking, how can a company like G Fuel support a guy that does this, and just keep showing all this terrible stuff this guy's done over the last 10 years. Well, after doing that, G Fuel wound up removing him from their sponsorship. They're no longer with him. And then after that, all of Keemstar's people went after H3H3 sponsors and one of them was Old Spice, and got Old Spice to remove him. So now the whole point is we're entering this whole new element of the cancel culture that's really, really scary and creepy. Now you have people going after people's sponsors, in response to just their videos and things they talk about and things they do. How could a sponsor, support someone who says this? It's they get enough people behind it, they can actually really cancel you and start affecting your money as well. Interesting, eh? I thought it
So
was.
Facebook is now using
Okay, let's watch some of this. This is Ben Swan. Destroys fact checkers who didn't fact check his flagged reports. He'll explain. This is a good one. It's 11 minutes. I probably won't play the whole thing, but we'll watch some of this.
so-called independent fact checkers to verify news stories on their site. The problem is those fact checkers aren't actually checking any facts, and I know, because in the last 2 weeks I've had 2 separate reports that have been called partly false information. But here's the problem. The reporters from USA Today and PolitiFact, who so-called fact-check my stories, admit they never even bothered to watch them. So what are they basing their fact checks on? And how damaging is this to actual journalism? I think you know. I'm Ben Swan, and this is Truth in Media. Hey guys, welcome to the show. So fact-checking the so-called fact-checkers. That's what we're doing today. As I told you, I've had 2 stories that have been flagged on Facebook as partly false information. One of those stories on Instagram is blocked so that people can't see it at all. Now, this is aside from just the typical algorithms that hide my content. It happens all the time to me and to hundreds of other journalists. But in this case, they're actually flagging certain stories because they're picking up traction, and they're claiming that these stories are false news. Now, remember, Facebook has a process that it goes through by having these so-called fact-checking sites as partners. PolitiFact is one of those partners, and so is USA Today. Now, here's the problem. With these 2 stories that I've put up, in both cases, the stories have been flagged as being partly false information, but not because of what's in the story, but based on totally erroneous and other reasons. Let's start with this latest one. It just happened on Saturday from PolitiFact. So PolitiFact decided to do a fact check on this report that I did about the contact tracing bill that's being pushed through. It's HR 6666. It's an incredible story and an incredible bill, and it deserves your attention. If you have not seen the story, you got to go try to find it on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. Even though it's being hidden from you, try to search Ben Swan HR 6666 so that you can see it. And the reason for that is because it's such a critically important issue. It's a contact tracing bill that puts $100 billion into tracking the population in the name of preventing coronavirus. Now, I go into a lot of information in this about what's in the bill and what's not in the bill, and also specifically wording that would leave this thing pretty vague and open to interpretation, as well as continued expansion in future years. Just as our government has done with bills like, for instance, the Patriot Act, which was supposed to be, right after 9/11, put into place to protect us against terrorism, and has become a permanent part of the American political landscape. And also, the powers of the Patriot Act continue to expand, not retract. We suspect it would be a very similar issue with this contact tracing bill. However, PolitiFact decided that because the story had 100,000 views in less than a day, they needed to do something about it, and they did. PolitiFact has now pegged that story as being false, according to their so-called truth-o-meter. Take a look at this. The May 12 post, which had more than 100,000 views by the next day, was flagged as part of Facebook's efforts to combat false news and misinformation on its news feed. The $100 billion is strictly targeted to fighting COVID-19. It would fund not only contact tracing, a process aimed at stopping the spread of the disease, but also COVID-19 testing and services for people isolating at home, which, by the way, I explained all of that. And what it would do is create a contact tracing program. They're calling it the Trace Act. Now, the wording in this act is actually very short, and it's kind of to the point, but it leaves a lot of room not only for interpretation, but for expansion. And even what it does include in what's written in the text is pretty scary stuff. While it does raise some privacy concerns, contact tracing has been used to slow the spread of other diseases, such as SARS and HIV. It's a common strategy in public health agencies across the country. The post also includes a 15-minute video in which Swan claims that the bill would create a, quote, massive new surveillance structure in this country. It absolutely would. Now, watch this. In the video, which we did not fact-check, Swan argues that the contact tracing is useful only in the early stages of an outbreak and is now completely useless in the United States because a massive amount of the population has been exposed to the disease. Based on that, Swan argues that the contact tracing supported by the bill would be done to monitor you in your own home, traced in your own home, your associations monitored, and your movements monitored. And by the way, every single health official who has talked about contact tracing describes it in exactly that way.
See how it perfectly lines up with their push for smart homes as well and smart communities.
The novel coronavirus. It would provide $100 billion to organizations that do COVID-19 testing or contact tracing, or that provide services to people who are isolating at home. We rate the Facebook post false. So essentially what they're saying is we didn't bother to watch the video or even fact check the video. We want to take the title and decide that the title itself is false, claiming that the title is the totality of the report. That would be as if you took any headline out of the New York Times or the Washington Post or USA Today or your local newspaper, and you said, I'm going to decide whether or not this article is accurate based on how I interpret the headline, how I interpret the meaning of the headline. Because the meaning of the headline is given context by the report itself. If you don't bother to read the report, watch the report, or fact check the report itself, then in that case, now you would find a huge problem. You're just basing your fact check on how you feel about the title. Of course, that's not journalism. PolitiFact pretends it's doing journalism. Facebook pretends that PolitiFact is doing journalism, and they're not. Now, this happened a second time as well with another story of mine that was getting a lot of traction, and it was about the Wuhan Virology Lab in Wuhan, China, receiving $3.7 million from the NIH over the last few years to fund coronavirus testing on bats. This is a fact. The Wuhan Institute of Virology undertook...
All right, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but check it out. This is Unconscious one, but it's shared. But look up Ben Swan. I don't know. This one is Ben Swan destroys fact checkers who didn't fact check his flagged reports. Probably not the best title, but you can look up anything with Ben Swan and probably find more on this. Reality Check is the name of the show he does. This one right here is really random, but one of the, I've always thought this too. I didn't realize there were a whole lot of people that felt this way. I saw this movie a long time ago called Showgirls. You ever seen Showgirls? And even when I saw it way back then, I remember thinking, it was really, I thought it was funny, but it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Just absolute, I mean, just worse acting. The story was dumb. It was all just so, I mean, the dialogue, oof. But just really one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And throughout the years, if I've ever seen it playing on a channel or something somewhere, I'd always make sure and go check it out and watch it again, because I always thought it was funny. And still, every time I'd see it, even just bits of it again, just rolling my eyes like, this is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. But it's funny, you know, if you look at it like that. Anyway, there's this whole movie coming out, a documentary about how bad Showgirls is. So let's see here. Random, I know. I don't even know what caused me to watch it the first time. I'm a guy, and there's pretty girls in it. You know, I don't know what it was, but it was absolutely ridiculous.
I give you sugar.
Oh, okay. Of course, they're going to be LGBT. Are probably going to dig this because they like camp. Well, not all of them, but I mean, there's an element of camp with some of the LGBTQ.
I don't think they have an attractive star. They don't do anything original in the screenplay. I didn't care for the film.
Lousy movie, really lousy acting.
It was a disaster.
Kind of raunchy.
Very, very bad. Let me guess. Worst movie? Showgirls.
Showgirls, you got it.
Good guess.
Welcome to Vegas.
I just got here.
Okay, yes, it's a failed movie,
Where are you from?
but it adds up to something.
Different places.
The type of comedy I don't think you can make on purpose, which makes it very rare and valuable.
I hadn't seen something so perfectly bad in years. It was done. Civilization had done its job.
Showgirls is also signaling to fans of Paul Verhoeven that it's like his other films.
People are much more inclined to think that it's...
For those of us that get it, it can become our religion.
That's so cathartic. I'm Naomi Malone.
Nice dress. Thanks. Super safe.
It probably looks like it's getting that kind of Rocky Horror Picture Show following, you know, kind of a thing too. So I'm not so much in with all that, but it's just, again, it's one of those movies that stood out to me. Probably also I watched it because, as I mentioned in here, is a Paul Verhoeven movie. He made Starship Troopers and Total Recall, and he's made a bunch of cool movies. RoboCop, I'm pretty sure he made the first RoboCop. Made a lot of really cool over-the-top, movies throughout the years. So this was a little bit different for him, for sure. But yeah, it's just one of those. I can't even say I don't know, maybe a guilty pleasure. I really don't drink, but back in the day, I would say, if you're into drinking, it'd probably be a fun one to drink to, I guess. Still wouldn't recommend it, but terrible movie. Anyway, just wanted to share that. I know it's random. We do that sometimes around here. Okay, here's one that a few of my subscribers sent to me. Let's see what this lady's name is. Stacey Abrams, that's it. So Stacey Abrams, one thing I know about her, right after Disney acquisitioned Fox? I don't know. Anyway, Disney bought out Fox not long ago, maybe a year ago or something, maybe a little less. And right after that, it really started taking a turn. I mean, it was already obviously slanted so hardcore to the right, but then it really started taking a turn and loosening up a lot, acting more like a CNN or MSNBC. They even hired this lady here, Stacey Abrams. It's one of the first big moves they made over there at Fox after Disney, is they hired this. She was connected with Obama, big time liberal lady or whatever, but they hired her on at Fox News. And I remember thinking that was weird. Then I saw this story come out, and now you have her doing the symbolism, of course, even right here on the reflection. They love that. As above, so below, right? An all-seeing eye, the mirror. Yeah. Symbols, right? Really. They are another language, that's for sure. Well, this is a good news. I think this is something good that Trump did. Let's check this out.
Is issuing guidance for communities of faith. I want to thank Dr. Redfield and the CDC for their work on this matter and all the other work they've been doing over the past, what now seems like a long period of time. Today, I'm identifying houses of worship, churches, synagogue, and mosques as essential places that provide essential services. Some governors have deemed liquor stores and abortion clinics as essential, but have left out churches and other houses of worship. It's not right. So I'm correcting this injustice and calling houses of worship essential. I call upon governors to allow our churches and places of worship to open right now. If there's any question, they're going to have to call me, but they're not going to be successful in that call. These are places that hold our society together and keep our people united. The people are demanding to go to church and synagogue, go to their mosque. Many millions of Americans embrace worship as an essential part of life. The ministers, pastors, rabbis, imams, and other faith leaders will make sure that their congregations are safe as they gather and pray. I know them well. They love their congregations. They love their people. They don't want anything bad to happen to them or to anybody else. The governors need to do the right thing and allow these very important, essential places of faith to open right now for this weekend. If they don't do it, I will override the governors. In America, we need more prayer, not less. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, there you go. There's something. That's good. I think that's good. But KJ, you always say that it's no religion, it's about the relationship. I know, man, but still, I get religion is mostly the opioid for the masses. And religion is very much a perversion of just being a follower of Christ, right? I understand all these things, but there are still so many good-hearted, pure-hearted people for Christ and for the Lord that go to these churches, all different denominations. I always think about them. They've been misled perhaps through dogma or just through family being raised in churches and things, and they still go there. And, they abide, by the rules and laws of that particular denomination. But in their hearts, they may know better. And in their hearts, they really do have a true relationship with the Lord. And outside of that dogma, outside of the religion. And so you can't judge all that, So the idea of keeping these churches all closed and these communities closed, yeah, we can do things online, but excuse me. But if given the chance, I think it's good to keep all this open, to let people get out there and to be in together in communities and praying with each other. And it's a good thing, more love, more connectedness, no matter what. Oregon government orders Facebook to remove Gateway Pundit article on Republican ballot scandal. Facebook complies despite hundreds of confirmed testimonies. Just another example. We get it with the stuff of these guys, these social media. Cardiac arrests up 800%. 600 plus doctors warn lockdowns doing much more damage than COVID. It's another thing. When I first saw this, it immediately made me think of the scripture about men's hearts failing them for fear of what's coming upon the earth. And, of course, my mind always goes to the alien invasion, whether it be the actual demons as aliens or it be Project Bluebeam or some combination of, or whatever it is. But that's going to freak a lot of people out. But then some people may think that this is a part of that as well. People are, their hearts are failing them, for fear of the virus is going to get you. Cardiac arrests up 800%. It's insane. What we got here? Oh, okay. There's a string of things I was going to show you here. Where do we go here first? Okay, this is something that one of my subscribers sent me, and I guess a lot of people are talking about this. This is a new, the new $10 bill in Australia, and I guess some people are saying that it looks like the virus over here on the right. I've read about this. Some people say that it's actually supposed to be some kind of a tree or a bush that's common out there in Australia. I could see that maybe. But then, I let my imagination run, and I think 33 is a really important number to this whole thing. And we've seen that. It even really launched on 3/11. So 33. I did a video with all the 33 in the news surrounding the crown virus. And even here, if you think about it, you could make this out here on this, what looks like little virus symbols. They have 3 10s. So they have the 10, 10, 10, which is 30, and there's 3. So the 33 perhaps. I'm just saying, I don't know if that's exactly it, but that's where my mind kind of goes with this stuff. From there, I went to here. This is the Australian 5. I found this, and if you look at the bottom, I couldn't make this bigger, but it's a massive pyramid on top of their parliament with the sun symbol right there in the middle. So that's one thing I found. It's like maybe. And then all of that brought me to another one here. This is their 20. And right down here where you see the kind of in the middle, and you can see it kind of looks like square and compass, maybe right here with the circle. But I had seen where someone had broke this down, and these numbers here in the middle on the man in black, like the blackened out man figure, there's a 2 up there in the middle of his chest. And they said that if you subtract the top row of numbers from the bottom and multiply by 2, so 7 minus 4 is 3, 8 minus 5 is 3, 9 minus 6 is 3, and then by 2, and then they say that's where they hid the 666. And you can do that. You can see 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2 on the chest, Subtract 4 from 7, 5 from 8, 6 from 9, multiply by 2, and there's your 666. So that is kind of interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have a Star of Ishtar over here, the 8-pointed star in black and white on the left-hand corner. That's one thing maybe. And then you reminded me of this one that just came out. A lot of people have been talking about the new 20-pound note in the UK. Check this out.
There's been rumours about the new £20 note being exposed. On the last £20 note, there was a picture, a symbol of a tower. That was the Twin Towers. Here it might have been repeated, but if you look closely on the hologram, you can see some rings around it. Apparently, there's been all this talk and theory about 5G towers which are being built at the moment. If you can see it on the hologram there. Those radio signals might be the radiation emitted from those 5G towers. Then on top of it here, you have a symbol. It looks very similar to the coronavirus symbol. There's been rumours that the £20 note has been exposed.
It is a sun symbol inside of a virus symbol anyway. Where is it? It's a sun.
There's
Rising sun.
That the £20 note has been exposed. Here's the 5G tower. Here's the coronavirus. Heard about this. There's been all these conspiracy theories. So I want to know if this is true. If you guys can confirm it.
Aw, little scared kid. Joe Biden, man, the gift that keeps on giving. I always bring up stories on him because there's so many gaffes associated with him, but also I always say this, but he's a perfect example of the corruption in our politics and how ridiculous the whole system is. That this guy is running for president, that this guy has a chance. There's already media in America saying he's going to beat Trump. The polls are saying that but he's a nunce. He can barely spit a clean sentence out of his teeth. And now you got this. Let me see if I can find it.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to.
Anyway, that has launched him into some hot water. Him saying that, that if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. So basically saying that you're not black if you don't vote for Biden, which again shows the grossness, the hypocrisy of these people and all that. But they have used black people for years, the American Democrats. Look up the famous quote from Lyndon B. Johnson that if they can get the welfare system started, this is back when they started the welfare, that he said we will have those N-words voting Democrat for either forever or for 50 years. But you can look that up. But that's, it's been really unfortunate that the American left has had such a hold over the black communities, all through America for so many years, man. But I think a lot of that's being exposed, a lot of it's coming out. Here's another one. It's like 21 minutes long. I can't play it all. Someone sent this to me. But this guy, I'll just play a little bit, like the first few minutes. You get the idea. His name's Nick Kimilatos. Says, my business was raided by the police. I'll play just a little bit of the beginning, and you'll get the idea here.
My name is Nick Kimilatos. I am a entrepreneur, business owner, father, veteran. I served in the Marine Corps from 2000 to 2012, deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, Turkey, all over Southeast Asia. I say that because I just want to give a little bit of clout to my background, to just state that on multiple occasions I rose my right hand and swore an oath to defend the Constitution. And now in my life, I want to enjoy the Constitution, enjoy my rights and freedoms. For those of you that do follow me on here, know that I really like to just make fun videos and lift weights and share training tips. and spend time with my friends and family, be a dad. And that's what I want my life to be. And unfortunately, with what's going on in America right now, it's kind of pulled me out of that, and I have to focus on essentially politics. And this is not something I enjoy doing at all whatsoever. I absolutely hate it. But they're leaving me no room to do so because of what's being put in place. So to give you some background, I live in a town called Holly Ridge, North Carolina. And on March 17th, I'm looking over here because I have my notes because I want to make sure that I have everything in order. On March 17th, the governor started to do the whole stay at home. He started to do government shutdowns. He initially shut down restaurants and bars. And we knew that it was going to get worse before it got better, right? Due to the whole COVID thing. Then on the 25th, he released another executive order shutting down essentially everything except what he deemed was essential. Not really sure what those guidelines were, who decide what's essential, but we'll leave that till later.
By the way, Governor Northam from Virginia, I'm pretty sure that's what he said was Virginia, right? No, he said North Carolina. Sorry, I was thinking of Virginia. Anyway, random. It popped in my head that Governor Northam from Virginia got busted doing blackface a long time ago. I know that's really random, but it's popped in my head. Anyway, continuing.
The main things that were shut down were training facilities, salons, churches, and a few other things. Initially, I said, okay, let's do the right thing. Let's follow these guidelines. Let's do it for a couple weeks. The incubation period for this virus that affects 0.0024% of the state, has a 14-day period, so people will get sick, people will get better. It has a 99.9% recovery rate, no big deal. And then we'll move forward with our lives. Well, the 2 week came about, and nothing happened, nothing changed. Another week went by, and the president, and now we're obviously in April, the president gave the power back to the states, as he should have done, because that's the way our government works. The states maintain their own power, and the governor runs the state. So we thought, okay, by May 1st, we will, this will be lifted, and we can go about our lives. At this point, we had already had about a 50% reduction in revenue with my 2 brick and mortar businesses, which, we can recover from. I know how to pivot. I can figure it out. Like, I'm not scared of that. This is not the point of me, like, losing a little bit of money is not the point of this. It's more about the businesses that can't pivot, and that I watched 3 businesses shut down in that month. And you can give it like, well, they should have savings. It doesn't matter. The point is they should be able to thrive regardless, because it's their right to. So this didn't happen. He didn't lift the order. Matter of fact, he came on and said that he basically said nothing. He spoke for an hour and said nothing, that he was extending it another week to May 8th. And then under phase 1, that there would be no businesses that open that weren't currently open. So basically, he was extending it indefinitely because there's no date on phase 2. So I made the decision to open. On May 1st, I made the personal choice to open my training facility to its members by following the CDC's guidelines, which was making sure people's temperature was checked, making sure they were 6 foot apart, make sure that we had sanitation stations, that we were cleaning everything, which for those of you that own a gym know that this is something you do already if you have a good gym. Like, this is common health practices in a training facility. So I made the decision to do that, a personal choice, to execute my rights to life, liberty, and, be able to care for my family, to be able to earn a paycheck, to be able to pay my employees, because through all of this, my rent still due, my employees' rent still due. The world kept turning, regardless whether the government shut it off or not. On May 7th, my gym was raided by the Holly Ridge Police Department. And I say raided, but because of the way that they entered
All right, I'll leave there because I can't play too much. It's like 5 minutes already. But if you want to hear the whole story, I mainly wanted to show you this. If you wanted to see someone's experience they've had through all this with their own personal business, it's on Nick Kalamatsos. My business was raided by the police. So you can check that out. Oops, I gotta turn off my ad block. Hold on. Man who videotaped the killing of Arbury is charged with the same, or is charged with murder. I didn't know a lot about this case. Let me read a little bit here, but a third Georgia man has been charged with murder in the February slaying of Ahmad Arbury, William Roddy Bryan, who videotaped the killing. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation announced the arrest Thursday. Gregory McMichael and his son Travis already are charged with murder in the case. They've said they believed Arbury to be a burglar. Arbury's family said he had gone for a jog. Bryan's lawyer said his client was merely a witness and was not involved in chasing Arbury with the McMichaels. If there was a lynch mob or posse, Mr. Bryan was unaware of it, the lawyer said. Arbury was black and the three suspects are white. The video led to protests demanding justice earlier this month. Shot by Bryan, it shows two men stopping Arbury while he's jogging on a residential street, per NPR. We called for his arrest from the very beginning of this process, lawyers for Arbury's family said in a statement Thursday. His involvement in this murder of Mr. Arbury was obvious to us, to many around the country, and after their thorough investigation, it was clear to the FBI as well, or to the GBI, as well. They said the family was relieved to learn of the arrest of Bryan, 50, and the killing near Brunswick of February 23rd. I don't know a whole lot about that case, but just what I do know reminds me of, it was the last, quote, real job I had for a long period of time before I just started, earning on YouTube and living through YouTube. And that was like 7 years ago. But I worked at a call center for Direct TV. I just moved back to my home state. My dad wasn't well at the time, and I'd been a bounty hunter in Austin, Texas just before that. So moved back to my home state, had to get a job. The first one I could find was a call center, so I went and worked there. It really was a miserable job. I could write a book about that job itself and about the kind of characters you meet working in a call center like that. But I was working there during the Trayvon Martin situation, and that one definitely was more of a situation. There's a lot of strange things that surround that case. But I remember being at work the night that they let Zimmerman off or whatever, and just like there was a tension in the office all through the place, and people were pissed, and it was just just more of that divisive stuff, more of that. And that's what that stuff is. A lot of it's just division. The media just keeps pushing these cases. Anytime something comes up, they push and they push. And yes, there's times that we need to know about this. There's times that black people really are just being wiped out, and it's wrong. And that does happen in America. It happens all over, and that stuff needs to be revealed. Then unfortunately, there's so many other times where it's not like that, but it'll be portrayed that way. And then, Reverend Al Sharpton shows up, and the whole thing, it gets nuts. It just turns into a political thing. Anyway, I'm rambling, and that's my last story for the night. So I'm going to jump over here to the chat real quick and just say hello to everybody. Hey guys, thank you so much for being here, man. Wow, we had a long one tonight, a long show. I didn't expect it to go so long. So thank you so much, though, for hanging out, man. It's great to see you all. We have a fantastic crowd, it looks like. Yeah, I had a lot to cover. So as always, I'll be back for another one next Friday. I'm going to do that paranormal clips show Monday or Tuesday afternoon for you guys. We'll do that. That'll be a lot of fun just to hang out. Wait till you'll see some of these wild clips I've been finding. It'll be a lot of fun to share, and just something different, a different topic to look into just for an afternoon, right? It's okay to do that. Got a couple new videos, of course, I'm always working on. Should be coming up over the next few days. So thank you so much for your patience on that. As I mentioned before, big shout out to the moderators. You always do such a great job. Thank you. Huge shout out to my Patreon and PayPal supporters out there. You guys know this channel was demonetized. So any support you got for the work, the videos, the shows, I appreciate it. And for helping me grow on into other areas. Maybe I will start working on some other site here in the near future. and continuing YouTube until the wheels fall off, so we'll see. But thank you though, man. Thank you for supporting the work. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the shares you guys send me as well, the encouragement, the prayers as well, kind comments. Thank you so much. I always like to leave these shows on a short prayer, so I'll just say, Heavenly Father, I really appreciate, as always, that we can have these nights and have all of us together and have a real community. So thank you for that. Thanks for providing a place. Thanks for the protection here, for protecting the channel. And thanks for helping us to look at all of these strange subjects at the same time watching for you, but having fun with it, not being afraid, not being scared, just trying to understand this world we're in. So thanks for being with us as we continue looking into such things and waiting on your return. And please, Lord, be with us all and help us to not have a spirit of fear during this time, to stay calm, cool, relaxed, stay focused, and most importantly, to stay focused on our relationship with you through Christ, and to strengthen that, and to stay at peace through all things now. So thank you very much, Lord. I love you, and in Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, guys. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, allowing me to do my prayers at the end. I think it's important to always do a little something out there and show the respect, so I appreciate you. Hey, man, you guys are great. Y'all have a good night. Take care of yourselves. I'll be back in a few days with either the video or a new show, okay? We'll see you then.